Okay, let's get started. Hello there. Camera there, right there. Wait, this is the alternate setup. Boom. Okay. Uh Long time no stream. Hello everyone. Was trying to troubleshoot some of my stuff. This Twitch is still broken. No idea why. We're going to try to fix that. Let me switch to the vertical stream. Where's the thing supposed to be? It's this one. Let's just do, no, not that. There you go. Okay, this works. Hello, hello. Okay, so some of you, wait a second. Let me make the lights a little bit brighter on the, because it's also not the same season of the year, which means that I'm getting a lot more sunlight in here than usual. So I just need to do this and move this up to like, yeah, that's more what it normally looks like. And how does this look like on the other camera? Boom, and that's very orange. Okay, let me fix that. White balance 36, is that better? Still very orange. 34 was what I had last time, I think. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Oof, I'm not sure if this camera is gonna survive the entire stream. It's already really hot. I've been testing things around. How has life been? Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about life because that's kind of the thing about kind of restarting streams regularly is me being a little bit hopeful, but that life is taking a turn for the better. I mean, not in any concrete ways, but just me feeling better is the way to do it. Okay, first of all, let's see if we can troubleshoot the Twitch situation. So I'm gonna take this thing that is having the same issue as me, this Reddit page, and see if we find a solution for this. Boom. This is what we're dealing with, and once we've fixed this, we can move on to the next thing that we need to take care of. So, I tried cleaning cookies cache, still getting the same error. So I tried streaming on Twitch, just connecting OBS directly to Twitch for an hour earlier, just as a test, and it worked fine. And for some reason, through Restream, it's just not working. So maybe I need to deal with Restream. Please ensure the streamer's bitrate. It's not a bitrate issue because that wouldn't be a problem. Okay, I think I need to contact Restream and see the problem with them directly. So let's just ignore this for now. Wait, why am I still in the top camera? Boom. Yeah, so let's ignore that for now. I forgot that I was halfway through making a coffee, so I'm gonna finish that and I'll be right back. Oh, and while I'm gone, I'm gonna leave you with... Nope. I really need to get used to this vertical stream, simultaneous vertical stream thing. I'm gonna leave you with the cat cam if the cats decide to come into the cat right here. Maybe she'll move. Let me know if she moves when I come back. The color orange has got a negative connotation lately. Oh, you mean because Orange Man bad? Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the light bulbs that I have at home. Which I was thinking about this right now because I like the vibes of my light bulbs as a like home vibe, but it's such a pain in the ass in terms of camera settings. Yeah, we'll just deal. We'll just it'll just be the way it is. This Twitch thing is annoying. I need to figure that out and fix it. This is on the right microphone, right? Properties. Yes. We should be good. Huh? What the fuck? Okay, never mind. Okay. I guess the cat did not move after all. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more things. Back to, man, this vertical stream is really a pain in the ass. I'm gonna turn this little dude on. Never mind, no batteries. I'll be right back. Okay, my rechargeable batteries are somewhere. I don't know exactly where. They're in the suitcase. So never mind. But we're gonna do something else, which is turning on something that I don't think I've had on stream before. Ta-da! Wait. Yeah, you can't even read it when I'm close to the camera. First of all, because I'm in front of it, but secondly, because it's blurry. Well, no, never mind. It works fine. Yes, Alsace style. Alsace style, am I reading that correctly? Exactly. That's we were trying to fix that, and it seems to be a restream problem. Because I tried to stream on Twitch without restream, just OBS connected directly to Twitch, and it wasn't working. So I don't know what to do about that. I'll try to fix that with restream customer service as soon as I can. So, yeah, how is everyone? Had the issue a while back. Yeah, we found someone who had the same issue on Reddit, but there were like 3 replies and it didn't seem like any of the replies fixed the issue, so yeah, we'll see. I had an issue with what's it called? Riverside, which is the like Zoom call for recording interviews in high quality, where the OBS virtual camera wouldn't connect to Riverside, and it ended up working fine. After a week of trying to fix it, all of a sudden I came back from a holiday and it was working fine. So at least that's solved for the moment, I think. And we'll just try to fix this Twitch thing soon. I also need to, and this is not related to, wait, I'm just going to turn off the Twitch stream. This is not related to, am I still on? Hopefully this is still working, because I'm not, okay, never mind. What was I saying? Right now, I don't have a Restream subscription, which allows me to stream on more apps at the same time, like having YouTube, Twitch, maybe like the second YouTube account, but I don't see why I would stream on 2 YouTube accounts at the same time. Instagram, TikTok, whatever else there is, maybe like Substack at some point. Which, by the way, we created a Substack. Should be Substack. Wait, what is a Substack URL? So it should be barely info. .substack.com. Yeah, it's empty for now and it's not done setting up. So yeah, literally completely empty, half set up, still working on it. But if you want to be the first people to subscribe to the Substack, don't give me any money through Substack for now. Just like follow the account, and eventually I'll finish setting it up, and we can have something a little bit more useful there. Substack lately becoming X-Lite. I mean, Substack, there's a lot of people at Substack. I did hesitate about opening a Substack for a long time, specifically because Substack's policy of just not policing hate speech at all, and just like, hey, we know that we have neo-Nazis on Substack, and we don't care, which I think is a dogshit approach to having a platform. But at the same time, a lot of people are on Substack. It's one of the better platforms of this type for written and various types of contents. What will you post on Substack? That's a good question. I feel like TikTok is dying as a platform, and TikTok was a significant source of revenue. And I would like to do more, like maybe written content, not me personally, but as we're adding more people to the Barely Informed team, including Kevin Foster, who's going to come on in 45 minutes. Hopefully, if everything goes well, if his internet issues are solved. I'm losing my train of thought today. More coffee. So yeah. Am I getting shadow banned? Kind of. The reality is I'm just not posting a lot, which is what I'm trying to get to. That's the thing that I'm trying to get to. What I was saying is, Substack might just end up being where I post the same shorts that I'm posting elsewhere, but hopefully could help make up for the loss of income from TikTok, which, as far as I'm concerned, I might as well just stop. More coffee is always the solution. Yes, more coffee is always the solution. I could just, as far as I'm concerned, I might as well stop posting on TikTok. But like, if it's the same content that I'm posting on all the other vertical video platforms, why not continue to post there? But I would like to just maybe start writing articles and start writing more stuff that doesn't necessarily have to go through a whole video production process to cover, news that is more immediate. So we'll see. I haven't really figured out what to do with Substack yet, but I do want to do something with Substack because it's a platform that I think has more versatility. That's something that is hyper video focused like YouTube, or more, formatted to a specific type of format like Instagram, where, you can't really do horizontal stuff. You can't really, it's not really meant for a desktop. Substack is a very broad kind of thing. What is killing TikTok? Well, the new ownership is killing TikTok. TikTok outside of China. I don't know if it's specifically TikTok US, but it's the same platform, so it has to be the ownership of TikTok outside of China. The ownership of TikTok in the US affects the algorithm everywhere. I think it's been bought by Trump allies, and I think they're trying to make TikTok less political so that they don't, they don't have to deal with dissidents' speech on TikTok if it's all back to like cat videos and dance trends and stuff like that. Larry Ellison, exactly. Anyway, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable with you right now because we're going to talk about the title of this stream, which is He's Back. No promises. We'll try to be back. But here's the thing. Let me open the Barely Informed YouTube channel /@barelyinfo. Boom. Okay, the Barely Informed YouTube channel. And we have the live stream. This is the, okay, half of you are on, wait, this is vertical, eh? Are both streams horizontal right now? I don't understand. Maybe I need a, are both streams horizontal right now? Okay, I'm gonna, are both streams horizontal right now? Okay, I'm gonna thing is glitching. I need to fix that too. Okay, next stream I need to fix that. I'm gonna turn off the vertical streaming that's making a duplicate horizontal stream right now. Oh, I can't. Wonderful. Okay, so I guess there's two YouTube streams. Doesn't matter. Ah, this is annoying. Okay, we're gonna have to fix this too. I'll do like a text stream that solves that to troubleshoot that next time. Whatever. Why does this keep happening? I wanted to show you this. Can I show the channel as a, okay, give me a second. Let me see the channel as a non-member. Content. No, it would have been customized channel, I think. Customized channel. View channel. No, this is just bringing me back to here. Wasn't there a thing to view the channel specifically as someone who is not subscribed? Or can I only do that? Okay, never mind. We'll just look at the channel the way it is right now. Okay. So if we go back to the beginning of the channel, I started in July of 2023. Yeah, it was 3. July of 2023 with this video. And in August of 2023, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was in August of 2023, published the next one. And then in December, I published this one. And in February, I posted this one. So in the space, and in between, was this December? Was this November? Anyway, in between this, I also shot a video that I never finished about the Netherlands. And in the space of that time, in the space of about 6 months, incoming message. Sorry about that. In the space of about 6 months, I was able to do 4 videos, which is more than I've ever done on the channel, despite the fact that I was still like learning all of this. So obviously this video took a lot of time to make because it was the first video that I made on the channel. But after that, the fact that I was able to make this many videos in 6 months is kind of crazy to me. I almost made 5 actually, considering that there was one that was unfinished in the middle of this. And then there was like, how long before we would release this one? This one was in like June or something. Yeah, June. So it went from February for this to June, and then since this video, it's been like one video every like 6 months, roughly. And part of that, oh, there was also the Iran video that we republished and that one came out in between these two. So it was literally 5, almost 6 videos in the course of about 6 months. And what I realized, I kind of knew this, but I hadn't really fully accepted it, is that I got really severely burnt out from the workflow of this, but also from making this video. Like this one being the one that I published, the last one that I published before the upload frequency got a lot slower, is not a coincidence. Part of it was like part of it was I made a point of wanting to watch every piece of evidence that I can find during the research process, watching not only October 7th videos, but also war crimes by Israel in Gaza, a bunch of people dying. That really sucked. I remember the moment where it really hit me was after I finished the video. There was a sequence in the video where I was talking about what was the name of the children's hospital in northern Gaza? Al Nasser Children's Hospital. It was that one. The story of the Al Nasser Children's Hospital was, it was operating in northern Gaza. It was working in the early days of the war. Then the IDF came in, took over the hospital, told everyone, patients and staff, you have to leave. You're out of here. I don't care where you go, just south. Just you're not allowed to be here anymore. And most of them did, but some of the medical staff was like, hey, this is a children's hospital. There are, I think, 5 or 6 or 7 babies in incubators that cannot be moved. If we unplug the incubators to move them, they will not survive. So we can't leave. We have to stay with the babies. And the IDF soldiers, according to the medical staff, said they will be transferred to a hospital in Israel. We'll take care of it. You get the hell out of here. So they left. Few weeks passed. The IDF left the hospital, continued their operation, continued what we can now kind of unequivocally call a genocide. And there was this journalist who snuck into the now abandoned hospital called Mohammed Balusha. And he found the bodies of those babies still in those incubators. And just to make sure that I was reporting real information, I saw the footage that he filmed, the photos and the videos of those bodies, which, again, horrifying, but I've been a journalist for 10 years. I've seen, this is probably the worst footage that I've ever seen, but watching horrific footage had never affected me, and I didn't really let that get to me so directly. What got to me is that a few weeks after he broke that story, he gets shot by a sniper. In northern Gaza, he crawls into a building. He's shot in the leg. He films with his smartphone, like, here's my gunshot wound. Look, I'm wearing a press vest. Like, what the hell? Which should not be surprising to anyone. But he survived that gunshot wound. I published my video with that information. And a couple of weeks after I published the video, I'm reading an article about all the journalists that have been killed in Gaza since the beginning of the war. This must have been like March of 2024. And one of the latest people to die was Mohammed Balusha. Broke that major story of the Al Nasser hospital, survived a sniper shot to the leg, got killed by a drone strike on his car a little while later. And that hit me harder than any of the horrific footage that I saw. And to be honest, I never fully, it's not like I realized how much that specific story stayed with me. It's not like I was constantly thinking of that specific thing, but I think that's the thing that kind of triggered I've been cycling through various stages of burnout since then, which is why publishing has been cycling through various levels of managing to keep up with the news, managing to make shorts, occasionally managing to make a long form video. And yeah, recently having realized kind of how much of my daily routine is now taken up by like sitting down at my computer or with a notepad and just not being able to do anything and having an anxiety attack and then doom scrolling on my phone trying to, get my breathing under control. And that just being like, oh, on part of my daily schedule, there's going to be a few hours of that and hopefully a little bit of working, getting some work done. When that becomes a predictable part of your routine, you need help. And I finally pulled the trigger and decided to start seeing someone professionally to kind of get that under control. And that's what I'm working on right now. That's kind of why and like you don't really realize this because I always take long breaks in between videos. But for the past, like since the last video came out, I've been trying to get a few things done, but mostly I've been like taking care of myself and trying to get trying to get my anxiety under control so I don't have so I can get back to being a working journalist, able to do stuff well. And it's going pretty well. I'm pretty hopeful that I'm gonna be able to, make things, get back to a sense of normalcy. I don't know if I'm gonna get back to being able to publish this many videos every 6 months. Not immediately, at least, but hopefully at some point in the channel's future, when more people are involved, we're gonna be publishing more often. But publishing more than one video every 6 months would already be a good thing. Okay, let me catch up on stream. It's unfathomable to me how a detailed and quality work of yours never gets pushed by the algorithm. While AA slop is gaining 10-15% of all YouTube views these days. Yeah, the YouTube slop is driving me crazy too. I can't speak to anything like shadow banning or something like that. The reality is a major reason why my content doesn't get pushed by the algorithm is my fault. I don't publish enough. If I were able to publish, for the algorithm, it needs to be at least a video every month, maybe even a video every 2 weeks, at least, for the algorithm to really pick up your videos. If I continue to publish a video every 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, that's on me. If the videos aren't getting picked up by the algorithm, that's not anyone else's fault, but the publishing frequency. Is there also shadow banning due to the topics that we cover? Probably, to some extent. Happier, kind of mainstream topics will always do better. There's definitely always ways to maximize views with more clickbaity titles and, just lower effort content that you can pump out at scale. If I were just streaming all day and cutting videos from my stream, I would be able to publish multiple videos a day. But I choose not to do that because I know that everyone's feed is already completely clogged with AI slop and low effort content. And there are people who were able to make really good quality low effort content. There are people who, with their ability to speak off the cuff and come up with the right thing to say without having to think about it for 2 weeks before they can write a script, they're able to make really, really good videos, just stream of consciousness. I'm not one of those people. So I don't feel like that's playing to my strength if I decided to do that, which is why I choose to make longer stuff that takes a lot more time to make, and that's a lot more of a, that every video is more of a personal investment, because if I spend 3 months on a video and it gets 10,000 views instead of 100,000 views, like the last video that we made, that sucks. That's 3 months of work that did not pay off. And in the last video specifically, we had a sponsor, so at least I was able to pay for a couple of months of rent with that sponsorship and pay back some unpaid electricity bills. I'm not joking. But the fact that the video underperformed is also means that it's going to be harder to get sponsorships in the future, because they're going to see like, hey, this sponsored video got 10,000 views, and that's just not worth the price that we paid for it. So, yeah, we're not going to work with this channel until it gets bigger. So that's kind of where we're at. I feel like these topics might be honestly draining you. Yeah, they are. I don't know, but every time I watch them, I just left feeling completely hopeless and resentful over where everything has gotten. I'm sorry that I'm contributing to that feeling. It would be really nice if I could find maybe every other video, kind of balance it out with a more hopeful video, or I could just switch to like doing content like Huge If True by Cleo Abram and always finding the optimistic angle to everything. I don't feel with the state of the world right now that would be a very honest way of doing things, but you know, it would be nice if I were able to balance it out a little bit more, or hopefully at some point in the near future, probably not tomorrow, but at some point things are going to start looking a little bit more optimistic again. Your long form content is what I'm here for, but I understand how much work and time goes into making those videos. And you are not covering happy topics. I can imagine how rough that would be. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, again, hopefully happier topics in the future. Or maybe just straight up analysis, I guess. But that's the thing, is today is the first stream in a while, and I want to get back to regular streaming. In part because streaming is kind of fun and entertaining. It's also draining, I'll be honest. Like, putting on a show is tiring, but it's also fun, and it's more uplifting than having an anxiety attack trying to write a script. So I'm gonna try for the month of June, meaning has already started, to stream 3 times a week. And those streams are going to be, if I manage to keep up the streaming schedule, Tuesdays, Fridays, today's stream, and Sundays. And the Sunday streams are going to be a little bit more chill, probably some video games, or like there's some music that I'm trying to work on for one of the video projects, so probably that could be something that I can stream on Sundays, stuff like that. I've been watching your videos about Russian crimes in Ukraine. Did I make a video about Russian crimes in Ukraine? Oh, you've been watching videos. Okay, I misread that and I thought it was your videos. Okay. Yeah, no, I completely get that feeling. When I worked in a news agency, I was cutting a live feed from one of the Yellow Vest protests, which is not as violent as, you know, Russian crimes in Ukraine or Gaza or anything like that. But our cameraman was right next to someone who picked up a concussion grenade, an unexploded concussion grenade by police, and tried to throw it back at police, and it blew his hand up. And his hand looked like the Tropic Thunder image. Tropic Thunder hands. Open image in new tab. Wait, is this the best image? Let's do this one. Boom. Open image in new tab. What the hell? It's supposed to be... There you go. His hand looked like this, but slightly worse than this, because in the film, this is just like dangling prosthetic flesh. In real life, the bones and the muscles are still like kind of connected to the arm, so they were moving a little bit. They were kind of like you know, twitching in pain as the guy kind of screamed, looking at his hand. And I had to cut a video package of very, very close up footage of that, which was, you know, pretty shocking. And it was one of those cases of like you're kind of covering your eyes, trying to not look at the screen while you're cutting it. And, you know, I was told, okay, you have to cut a stream, you have to cut a video package of this. Sorry. I hope it's okay. And I was like, no, don't worry, it's fine. And the next day I came into work, and the only acknowledgement of anything like that was they had left a stack of printed sheets of paper on how to deal with traumatic imagery, and just left it there, and that was it. And that was all the acknowledgement that which, you know, I mean, I guess that's how you deal with that. They could have acknowledged it a little bit more, but would it have made a big difference? Not really. So yeah, it's a weird thing because eventually you kind of get completely disconnected from everything that's happening, but you don't realize that even though you've managed to like disassociate it from your head, you've compartmentalized it, and you kind of don't let it affect you on a day-to-day basis. It's still piling up there, and at some point, something that isn't necessarily going to be the worst thing that you've ever seen, but it's just going to be the thing that is going to maybe hit you at an angle that you didn't expect, or it's going to be like the straw that broke the camel's back. For me, that was the Mohammed Balusha story. Specifically him dying. Like the story that he broke was part of the pile, but that pile was under control. His death was the thing that kind of, you know, opened the floodgates for me and kind of, okay, I've crashed and I've thoroughly burned, and I'm unable to work for 6 months at a time. That was it, you know. I refuse to watch videos of people dying for this reason, but also someone has to do it, like journalists. I can't imagine it though. Yeah, it's a very wise policy. I think if I wasn't doing what I was doing, which, to be clear, I love my job. I don't want to do any other work. I like the sense of purpose that I get out of the work that I do is unlike anything that I could imagine doing elsewhere, especially considering what's happening in the world right now. I really could not. I would love to just be making music or making, you know, like shooting films or series as a cinematographer or something. But I can't imagine myself trying to get a career in that while there's so much to be done on. I'm not getting emotional. My throat is just dry. While there's work to be done on covering everything that's happening. Kenches, thanks for sharing this with us. It takes a lot to do that. Please take care of yourself. No, I am taking care of myself. Like, I've been mostly kind of not, you know, not talking about it for a long time, except for the people close to me. I am taking care of myself now, and that's kind of why I feel a little bit more comfortable opening up to you. Like, I'm not guaranteeing that, oh, everything is solved and like I can totally manage anything from now on, but I'm hopeful that I'm going in the right direction. And one of the big changes that I'm hoping that I can able to do is that there's a lot of commitments that I made to various people. I don't know if Tryon is still watching the stream right now, but I promised him a bunch of times that I would cover the situation in Bulgaria. And those are the kinds of things that, you know, among other commitments that I've made, you know, my anxiety was preventing me from holding my end of those promises and preventing me from actually doing the stuff that I committed to doing. And again, it's still going to take me a little bit of work to do that, but to get to the point where I'm a little bit more reliable in those kinds of things. But I feel like in the last couple of weeks alone, I've made enough progress that, yeah, I'm feeling optimistic and good about things. I think chasing a YouTube career is like having a relationship with an abusive partner. Kind of, yeah. And I don't consider myself a YouTuber or an influencer. I don't even know what that really means. In the sense that there's in the sense that I'm trying to do something very specific. I'm a journalist first and foremost, and whether it's YouTube or maybe for whatever reason, in the same way that TikTok died as a platform, maybe tomorrow YouTube is going to die as a platform, and I'll start to refocus my efforts on publishing on Substack, or maybe Substack will become worse than Twitter and completely unusable as a platform, in which case, I'll find another way to publish things. But to me, it's about doing the work of it's about the journalism work speaking for itself, rather than, oh, I'm a YouTuber, and if journalism doesn't work on YouTube, then I'm just gonna start making different videos on YouTube because YouTube is the thing that's the priority, and that's just not the way I see it. Yeah, YouTube can demonetize me whenever they like. Livestream chat is broke. Is it? Damn. Kenchiz, I mean, hey, I'm kind of in a war zone. I'm used to it, so don't worry. Are you in Ukraine, Kenchiz? I'm gonna have to skip a bunch of messages so I can be more current with the recent ones. Can only see your own chat. I mean, isn't that supposed to be the case? Oh, you mean on the YouTube thing? That's annoying. Okay, I really need to fix a bunch of things. Okay, so for next stream, I need to troubleshoot Twitch. I need to fix the YouTube vertical stream, like dual stream vertical stream thing, or just maybe stop vertical streaming on YouTube. I don't know. I set up the vertical stream so I can also stream on TikTok and Instagram, but like setting up the Instagram and TikTok streams in OBS is a huge pain in the ass, and streaming on multiple platforms with Restream, streaming on more than 2 platforms with Restream costs a lot of money. So, yeah. I mean, not a lot of money, but I can't afford the subscription right now. So I'm not sure if the vertical stream is worth the effort right now. At some point, I'll decide. Maybe I can just stop doing it for now. It's distracting to have my face on so many different screens of mine. Anyway, so we have 15 minutes before Kevin joins. I think you honestly got unlucky with your 2 videos over France and AFD doing unusually well and getting really high highs. I don't see that as unlucky. I think it's lucky. I mean, there's 2 France videos that did well. The National Rally video also did well, but like most of the videos are within the, 60,000 range is a pretty normal rate of views that I'm getting. Not all of them, but like the main long form videos usually get around there. The last video, I think the last video, we took 2, like we should have published it 2 weeks earlier than we did, and finished the editing a little bit faster. And I was a little bit too perfectionist, and I wanted the video to look as good as it possibly could. Oh, just noticed that cat is sleeping right there. And I'm having a little bit of a visual glitch in my thing. There's a lot of things that I need to fix with the stream. So yeah. The last video, I think, mostly just went out 2 weeks too late to be really relevant in the algorithm. But I feel super lucky that my first ever video got 300,000 views. I'm incredibly lucky for that. If that hadn't been the case, this channel would not exist right now. If that video had gotten 1,000 views, 10,000 views, and that had been kind of the norm for all of my videos after that, and I hadn't been building up an audience through the videos that performed remarkably well, like the AFD video getting 600,000 views, the France videos, the national rally, and the first one getting over 100,000. I would have given up by now because I would have realized, well, this is not going anywhere in terms of revenue, so I just have to find something else to do. Right now, there's it's a question of how do I make more content more often that doesn't drop the quality, so that we can actually build an audience. And that's what I'm working on at the moment, trying to get some funding so that the people who are coming on board don't have to work for free while we kind of build the infrastructure to have more revenue coming in for the channel itself. But yeah, it's some work, and it's going somewhere, and I'm hopeful. Like I wrote before, the Israel-Iran war videos are of course relevant, but the content market right now is saturated. Yeah, that's why I wish that I published the Iran one 2 weeks earlier. France AFD is more niche and does better because it stands out, I think. Yeah, but if you publish something that is too niche, it also doesn't get picked up because no one cares. That's kind of what happened with the first Iran video, the Iran video on transnational repression. I thought that was a super in terms of actual journalism and like the research that went into that, the actual exclusive interviews. There's a reason why that video is the video that we got a documentary award for, is because it was like it was a lot more than piecing together other reports and kind of painting a picture with other reports the way that I did with the Iran war video. That one was actually finding stuff that hadn't really been discussed elsewhere and putting it together in a more original content kind of way, which I'm working on, stuff like that. There's still this project that I cannot get into detail yet for a variety of reasons. Part of it is I don't want to spoil it. Other part of it is lawyers will have to check the work before it gets published. So once I have something to publish, I'll know what I can say and what I can talk about. But it's it's going to be really cool when it comes out. And that one is going to be very much original reporting, extremely, like, it's going to be the longest thing we've ever done. It's probably going to be like a feature-length video that I'm also going to submit to documentary festivals. I'm super looking forward to finishing that. That one is also a video that I'm not going to talk about this one too much because I can't talk about it in detail. But it's also a video that like weighed on me when I got back from that reporting trip because it's some heavy stuff, but it's really cool. How is Nebula looking like? Were you talking about a potential partnership for a documentary? I would like to do that. What I want to do is finish the video that I just mentioned, publish it on YouTube, see how that does. And then and the thing is, that video is the first of many videos that are planned. And I would possibly go to Nebula and say, hey, are you interested in funding the next videos in this series? There's another media company, can't get into any discussions, to any details on that one now, that is, interested in helping us work, like helping our work. We're seeing where that goes. We're trying to figure something out with that, and hopefully that would be kind of a game changer in terms of the having the cash flow to be a little bit more financially secure, so that we can focus on the work and not be stressing too much about what happens if we publish this and it doesn't get any views. What are upcoming European elections that could be really interesting for Europeans from that country and from other countries? Good question. I mean, there were big ones earlier, the Bulgarian one, the Hungarian one. So, I have Sweden on September 13th. Czech Republic. Don't know if that's gonna... Oh, this is Senate only. It seems like the big ones kind of happened this year already, but in a couple years there's gonna be the EU elections again in, what is it, 2029? French elections next year. I am trying to figure out a way for me to be in Paris or in France, so I might even travel, but probably just Paris, for a couple of months ahead of the French election. And so I can like do reporting ahead of it, cover the election day, finish the video as quickly as possible, and publish a recap of the election, like a report on the election as quickly as possible after it happens. Sweden politics could be an interesting video. Yes, definitely. I want to do that. Right now, there are 3 really, really big projects that I've been in the works for a long time. Are you, like Alice Capel, thinking that the far right is going to win in France? There's a very high chance of that. Yeah, I think they're more likely to win than not win in next year's election. We'll see. So right now there's 3 really big projects that I'm working on. And all of them are multi-video projects, which is why they're so important for me for the channel. Because all of them are going to be the first video in a series of videos that are going to be ongoing projects. And I'm trying not to take, like the Venezuela video that we did a couple of months ago, the Iran war video that we published a month ago, those 2 months ago now? Man, time is going by too quickly. Those were videos that I put everything else on hold to do this because it was breaking news. I'm trying not to do that. I just need to finish the first video in each of these 3 series. 2 of the 3 are in partnership with another journalist. One of them is with Kevin Foster, who's going to be on in 5 minutes. And once the first videos in each of those series are done, that will kind of be a statement of, because of how good those projects are going to be when they're finished. All of those are going to be a statement of like, this is what this channel can do. And I think that's going to unlock possibly funding by other media. It's going to unlock some coverage of the channel, hopefully. And it's going to be just, yeah, I'm hopeful that that's going to set the channel on track to be in a whole different, like between now and when those videos are out, I think the channel is going to be in a completely different place than it is right now. But it's going to take a lot of work to finish those videos because all 3 of them are more ambitious than any of the videos that we've done so far. And the videos that we've done so far were possibly already too ambitious for a channel of our size. So we'll see. But no, there's some really good stuff that's coming. And I'm hopeful about what that's going to do to the channel's viability in the future. Far right is unfortunately likely to win in most countries, in any European election. Yes, but look at Hungary. Hungary it's not like every problem is solved and now they have wonderful, amazing leaders who are super progressive and no, it's not that. That's not gonna, like, we're not gonna fix the damage done by the far right overnight. There's going to be a lot of work to rebuild. But Hungary shows that it's not irreversible. And there's a possibility that, next election, the far right wins again in Hungary. But it's a matter of like, this is a wave of far right parties gaining traction and winning elections. And that wave is not going to win forever. And eventually things are going to swing back in the other direction, and we can make some more progress and continue like the grand march of history's, long arc towards justice is I guess my paraphrasing Martin Luther King. I wanted to have a quick look at this David Pakman video before Kevin comes on, because I don't know what it says, and I saw the thumbnail and I was like, what the hell is this? So let's have a quick look at that.
The Trump White House has put me on a list as an official enemy of this administration. We were worried this would happen to independent creators. I thought it would happen to someone, but it has happened to me. I'm on a list of media offenders. Whitehouse.gov has me. It has a page about David Pakman. And I wish I were exaggerating, but I am not. And this, I believe, is the precursor to trying to get me deplatformed, to take away every single bit of access I have to the audience that I've built, and to doing the best I can to inform people about what this administration is doing.
Can you imagine the credibility boost of being called a media offender by the Trump administration? Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I would also like be freaking out if that happened to me, but at the same time, I would be like, there's an opportunity here to just get some press out of this, basically, because this is insane. Like, I'm not saying this is, opportunistic or anything. Like, I would be doing the same thing. This is crazy. But wild. Oh, I didn't know Ed Krasenstein was involved with David Pakman. The more I learn about this Trump guy, the more I don't like him. Really, now? Just now?
This is a page on whitehouse.gov. And you see here, David Pakman, huge at the top. This is a page criticizing me for having
I'm not going to lie. I would low-key love to have a page barely informed on the White House website. That would be wild.
Reported on Donald Trump's health. Now, as a reminder, we've seen the White House take down other people.
Let me quickly, Donald Trump's health? The left spread false rumors that Donald Trump was in the hospital, while in fact he was hard at work for the American people. What the fuck does that even mean? All of this is a huge joke. So one of the things that's slightly frustrating, I keep thinking about this, is the Venezuela video that we made in December ends with something that is not really directly connected to Venezuela. And in the context of the video, it makes sense kind of how it leads to there, kind of the dominoes falling back towards U.S. politics. I like how that happened in the context of the video, but it's not something that people expect to see in that video, so it's not something that they're going to seek out. So people who are interested in this topic are not going to go watch my video on Venezuela to get information on this. But like this kind of stuff we covered at the end of the Venezuela video, and about how all of the legal apparatus that the Trump administration has set up to go after the radical left. And like I say in that video, it would already be concerning enough if them going after the radical left was actually going after genuinely violent left-wing groups, which, there are some. And it would be concerning to label them terrorists if they're not doing terrorism. But, when it's like, I've talked about like the black blocs at demonstration before. I've covered, like I've filmed black blocs, people at demonstrations in France. I don't consider them terrorists, But I think there's a case to be made for governments to take them a little bit more seriously than David Pakman. Like black blocs are. I've been threatened by black blocs people for filming them breaking storefronts. Every photojournalist I know or video journalist I know has shared similar stories of like literally when I published that the first France video, and there was a little bit of footage of the black blocs demonstrators. One of my former colleagues, video journalist or photojournalist, messaged me saying, "Hey, that dude in that one shot threatened to break my camera if I took another photo of that part of the demonstration," which is, yeah, a lot of people on the left are kind of not always super peace and love. But it's one thing, again, I'm not saying the government should be treating those people as terrorists. I think that would already be a little bit too much, a lot too much. But when they're saying we are developing this apparatus of going after the radical left and homegrown left-wing terrorists, and what they end up targeting is David Pakman, the ultimate, center-left, kind of moderate-ish Democrat. It's not about the violent radical left. It's about all moderate dissidents.
For having reported on Donald Trump's health. Now, as a reminder, we've seen the White House take down other people exercising their First Amendment rights. On this very same list is Stephen Colbert, who was famously canceled by CBS, who folded under pressure. And
yeah, Stephen Colbert, radical left, dangerous, violent, radical left, Stephen Colbert.
It only takes the platforms folding for me to lose all of it. If YouTube folds, I lose my nearly 4 million subscribers. Meta could pull my channels from Facebook and Instagram, where I have millions of followers combined. TikTok is already suppressing our views, and I cannot think of a more crucial time for them to be doing this, because they know they're up against the ropes. They know we're not going to let them get away with everybody forgetting about what they've done to the economy, the optional war, the Epstein files, which they hope will never see the light of day. So they've correctly identified me as a problem for them. I need your help. We don't even know the full scope of what we're going to be up against here with regards to the federal government. This is an independent show. It's me and our team of 4, and we're doing everything we can every day to get information.
David Pakman has a team of 4? I thought it was a bigger operation than that. 3 million subscribers and a team of 4, that's wild. Okay. I'm going to assume that they make a lot of money. That 4 people on David Pakman's show make a lot of money if it's only that many people. I could see having enough work to give to like a dozen people at least. If I could indefinitely grow Barely Informed, first of all, my priority is not to make personally a lot of money. If the channel started to make a lot of money, it would always be a matter of like growing not necessarily the channel's audience, but like the team, so that we could do more and better work. But yeah, I guess it's easier. Kevin is here. I guess it's easier to get to run a channel like David Pakman's with a team of 4 when you are only recording from a studio.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, wait, let me set this up a little bit better.
Pardon my terrible looking stream. I just moved and I'm figuring this out.
You're not even on screen yet. There you are. You are on screen now. How are you doing?
Oh, well. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Not too bad. Yeah, I was opening up to the chat about what I've been telling you about, anxiety and all of that, and trying to get get my workflow to a little bit more of a, manageable, getting back to normal, getting back to baseline, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough, man. It's
Yeah, tough times.
a lot of work.
How are you
Yeah.
doing? How's your new apartment? Without doxing yourself, how do you feel about the new space?
I like it. It's nice to just have some more walkable stuff, and I think like the yeah, I I'm enjoying it. Got hopefully don't have any issues with Wi-Fi during the stream, but I've been having a lot of issues with Wi-Fi, so we'll see
Yeah,
what
hopefully it's
happens.
not too much of a problem. We'll see how that goes. If it doesn't, this is the I'm kind of rebooting the live stream on the channel, as not like literally right now, but this stream is kind of restarting an attempt to do regular live streaming, and we already flagged multiple technical issues that I need to try to fix before the next live stream, including Twitch is not working at all right now. So yeah, don't worry about any jank in the stream, and we'll improve as we go along.
Yeah.
Wait a
Well,
second. Do you want to introduce yourself in case some people have not? There's because we haven't streamed in a long time. The I think the people who are watching right now are probably people who are watching most
yeah.
of our videos ever, so they probably saw the Star Wars one. But in case a couple of people are not
Yeah.
familiar with you, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kevin. I am living in the States, so quite far away from the traditional Barely Info team, but the I'm out in Portland, Oregon. I cover a lot of protests and activism and various things. And recently, what I've been working on has been about data center expansion in Hillsboro, Oregon, which is kind of like a suburb outside of Portland. And it's like the largest data center area it has the highest concentration of data centers in Oregon. And there's a whole lot of messy stuff going on with the government there, and it's kind of indicative of things that we've been seeing around the country. But yeah, so I cover quite a few different things, but generally talking a lot about like anti-authoritarianism and maintaining democracy.
And all the there's so many different facets to what the unprecedented actions being taken by the Trump administration, whether it's like you say this, I mean, it's not even Trump administration, the expansion of data centers, but the current political climate is there's a lot to cover. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like there's a lot of things that I could see myself enjoying doing. Like, if I wish I had more time to make some music. Long time ago, I like made music that I like released and played live shows. Like, I haven't had time to do that in 10 years because
Damn.
of the state of things. I would love to film more creative videos, fiction, stuff like that. And I can't, if I
Yeah.
started doing that, even if it was a project that I really had like dear to my heart, if I were to stop doing journalism in favor of doing that, I would feel kind of, what am I doing? What the hell is going on? So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot
No, I
to.
mean, I used to be more in the fiction side as well, and it was just yeah, I guess at some point you just kind of feel called to talk about the stuff that's happening in the real world, and I think that's not meant to be a slight on fiction, though. I think fiction is probably in a lot of ways just as impactful, if not more impactful.
I mean, we did a whole
But I
ass
think
stream on Andor last time, so
yeah, yeah, but yeah, I like movies.
yeah. Speaking of Andor, just a quick note. I found something really
Oh
cool. Is
God,
someone took Rogue One and completely recut the film with the music from Andor and like just adding more of the Andor kind of personality to the Rogue One film, which I
Yeah.
haven't finished watching the whole thing, but I thought it was a significant improvement because it's funny when you watch like the Andor the show and then you go back to watching Rogue One, it's a pretty big downgrade in every aspect.
Dude,
They haven't
yeah.
really figured out the characters yet and all of that, so yeah.
I just did that recently and I forgot how insanely fast paced that movie is. Like there's
Yeah.
no rest. Like it's like everything like compared to Andor like really kind of lets you sit on a scene and the emotions of the characters, and then Rogue One is just like boom 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 like over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's like gone before you even realize it. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was watching this David Pakman video, and maybe you have some thoughts
Yeah.
as well. So let me set up a what's called a SyncTube page, and we can watch it together, and then we'll watch your reporting on data centers.
Sweet.
How do I do this?
I wish I could help. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's pretty simple. So I'm gonna send you a link.
On a list as
Okay. The only thing is I haven't set up a OBS format for us to. So yeah, I'm sending you. You have WhatsApp on your desktop? Can I
No,
send you
but
a
I can copy
a link
it.
there? Don't worry. I'll just send you a
I
message.
can just
on-
copy it between.
Wait a second. I'll just find you on Discord. Wait, did I?
If you send it over WhatsApp, I can, yeah, it like will auto copy from my phone.
Yeah, but you're already on Discord, so I might as well find you there. But
True.
wait, don't you have a weird name on Discord, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why
It's
I'm not finding it.
scuba.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, in the meantime, let me set up something where you can see both of our faces while we watch this video. So, how can I do that? Add source. Window capture. Discord. Iggy watch Asman? What do you mean? Okay. So, does this kind of work? It's down here. Transform.
I can also just like pull up the stream on YouTube.
Yeah, but that's gonna there's gonna be some delay there. It's really not a
That's
great
true.
way to do it. It's better if I can set this up so that I can reuse the same format next time, and I'm nearly done.
Yeah. Red.
Yeah, just need to do maybe 200 pixels.
What's
something
the
like this?
What's the video about?
Apparently, David Pakman is on a list on the White House website.
Interesting.
Okay, you have the page I sent you, right?
Yeah, although it says video player configuration error at the moment.
the Trump White House.
Okay, try to refresh it. As I see you, wait, yeah, okay, I see you there. You should be able to see the David Pakman video if I play it.
The Trump White House has put me on a
Maybe try
list
playing it
as
and see
an
what happens.
I was playing it right now. Did you manage to see anything?
Oh shit. No.
Damn. Huh. How can we fix this?
I can also just
Um,
watch it on.
yeah, but that thing is like, oh, we both have to play at the same time. It would be better if I was able to
Yeah.
figure to set this up. Okay, let me try to set up the same video, but like redo a
The Trump
SyncTube
White
page.
House has put
Shut up! Don't autoplay. Okay, SyncTube. Boom. Create room.
the list.
And I'm gonna send you a new. I'm gonna set it in the SyncTube chat. You click at that link. It's gonna get you to another SyncTube page. Hopefully this time it works.
List as an
It
official
might have to do
enemy.
with like my ad blocker.
Maybe that's it. Do I have an ad blocker on at the moment?
The Trump White House has put me on a list as an official.
I'm just gonna
enemy
leave
of
it
this
playing, and you can tell me
administration.
if you manage to figure it out.
We were worried this would happen to independent
Because we're also gonna
creators.
need the
I
SyncTube
thought
thing to
it
watch
would
your
happen to
data
someone,
center videos. So
but it has happened to me.
Gotcha.
Offenders.
Let me see if I open it in a different browser.
efficient albatross. I love that they give us random names.
Okay,
Is it working now?
it works if I put it in if I put it in a different browser.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, so let's watch this and see what the dealio is.
The Trump White House has put me on a list as an official enemy of this administration. We were worried this would happen to independent creators. I thought it would happen to someone, but it has happened to me. I'm on a list of media offenders. Whitehouse.gov has me. It has a page about David Pakman. And I wish I were exaggerating, but I am not. And this, I believe, is the precursor to trying to get me deplatformed, to take away every single bit of access I have to the audience that I've built and to doing the best I can to inform people about what this administration is doing. This is a page on whitehouse.gov. And you see here, David Pakman, huge at the top. This is a page criticizing me for having.
Before you joined, I was telling Stream, like, can you imagine the first of all, like the mindfuck of finding that on the White House page, but also like, this is kind of cool. Like, I would love the credibility of being called out by the Trump administration.
Dude, I can't believe I worked on a documentary about Palestine, and especially in academia, and I can't believe I never got a Canary Mission profile. I was like, what the hell, man? Yeah, what do I got to do to get on the list? Not that I really want that. I think it's kind of a badge of honor, but it's like
exactly, the badge of honor, and also
yeah.
like kind of like, and we can also talk about like the Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker getting banned from the UK.
Oh man, yeah.
Again, you can get a huge boost in attention through something like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even think it would be. I'm not even saying like opportunistic in a bad way. I think that this could be a huge opportunity for Pakman to kind of brand himself as a leading figure of the anti-Trump resistance in journalism, in the way that Colbert did,
sure.
and the way that Jimmy Kimmel did when he got his show canceled and stuff like that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think this is the funny thing. I remember when I first started covering more like ICE stuff, I had obvious concerns about being kidnapped as a member of the press and stuff, and like it seemed like I'd probably have a good chance of getting out pretty quickly, but people were like, that might be the best thing for your career.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
like, oh god.
It's kind of like same thing with, and I'm again not saying this in a bad way, but the journalists who take part in the freedom flotillas, part of that is also it's good for their career as like anti-establishment journalists. Let's be honest.
God, the last one though, Jesus
Yeah, that was
Christ,
rough. Yeah, that
the
was
stuff
the
that came
video
out
that
of the
they
last
published.
one was like
Definitely.
fucking
But I mean, the thing is, like,
really bad.
what was different about the last one is that they published videos of their treatment of the prisoners. But the reality is, like, they've been
Yeah,
doing. I think it's been getting worse with every flotilla.
I think
But
so. Yeah.
and this is the other thing that's almost kind of acknowledged by everyone, but not really pointed out explicitly. It's like this is the privileged treatment that Western figures
Yeah.
get when they get imprisoned in Israel, but we know the treatment that Palestinians get, and it's incomparable.
Well,
But
like
we
honestly, like
only get government condemnation by Western governments when it's these media
yeah,
figures. Yeah,
and if that, like
if
honestly,
that, yeah, yeah.
the I actually on that note, I interviewed a guy from Portland who went on the first like big flotilla back in September-ish, somewhere around there in 2025. I mean, it wasn't the first flotilla, of course, but the that one, and I interviewed him, and like, luckily they didn't have nearly the same level of horrific things happen, but it was still like a lot of the same, like just extreme intimidation. And I think the reason for that one especially was because at least this is my theory, is that like the media campaign around that one was extremely like it just had way more attention at that time than the current ones have been getting, which is that we could go into a whole series on why that is. But the I think yeah, I mean, I've thought about trying to go on one of the ones to Cuba, because those are like it's obviously a lot more accessible to me,
You would
but
get getting a
that's a
subpoena
whole
right now. Yeah, you would be getting a government
yeah, I
subpoena.
know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's wild. Everything is
maybe need to watch
so
out.
incredibly crazy. I when what was the name of the flotilla before it became the Global Sumud Flotilla? There was a previous name that it had when it was like just one or two ships, and then it became this like Global Sumud Flotilla that had like 60 ships going at the same time. I
Was it Freedom Flotilla or something?
I think it was just the Freedom Flotilla.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
When that one was
Okay.
being set up, someone asked me to go on that one. But they were specifically looking for someone who, one, had like journalism experience and had a boat driving license, which I did not have. So I was like, sorry,
Oh,
not qualified for that one. Yeah.
through the Mediterranean too, like
Yeah.
not
Yeah, but I mean
necessarily like
that's
a
the thing is like
easy
that I was
task.
asked by the captain of an NGO rescue ship in the Mediterranean while I was there, and he was like, "Hey, I got a message from a
Oh.
friend of mine. Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "I can't drive a boat. I don't have a license for that." But yeah, wild stuff.
Damn. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, like let's see if we can quickly go and go
Back to
through this.
Deepak. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a page criticizing me for having reported on Donald Trump's health. Now, as a reminder,
Right, yeah, I read this earlier. It's kind of hilarious though.
at the top, this is a page criticizing.
Key points. The left spread false rumors that President Trump was in the hospital while, in fact, he was hard at work for the American people.
Dude, it's so crazy to like think about how the parallels to all these different regimes around the world that all the like American presidents have been dumping on for decades. They're like, oh, this autocrat or dictator is lying about his condition, and you're just like, oh yeah, I mean, we're literally just like there.
Yeah, no, it's
Just
the
pretending.
number of parallels of all the things that we're used to seeing with dictatorships, and like, oh yeah, but this is the direction that we're going in.
Yeah.
The really funny thing
Yeah.
with this one, when I saw that, I was reminded of a a Department of Defense fact check. Like a couple of days ago, the Iranian government said that they struck, I think, an aircraft carrier or a U.S. military ship. And the fact check by the DoD was just they're lying and like giving no evidence, no kind of well, this is a recent photo of the ship, it's doing fine. Right? It was just like, oh no, it was basically like, nuh-uh, was their correction, was their fact check on that report, and it's kind of the same
Dude,
thing.
and then
Like,
they'll come.
in fact, he was hard at work for the American people. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't even know if there's like, in fact, he was on a trip to this country. It was something that they could have said. Or in fact, here are the logs of him being in his office at the White House. They could say a lot of things, but in fact, he was hard at work for the American people. It's like saying nothing of substance there.
Dude, I've got a note on this for when we get to the data center stuff about like what comms people want you to say as a journalist. But I guess we should finish the Pacman thing though, if there's
Yeah.
more. But
Me for
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. I think the rest of the video is going to be him like asking for help from his audience, but we can see if there's anything else.
having reported on Donald Trump's health. Now, as a reminder, we've seen the White House take down other people exercising their First Amendment rights. On this very same list is Stephen Colbert, who was famously canceled by CBS, who folded under pressure. And it only takes the platforms folding for me to lose all of it. If YouTube folds, I lose my nearly 4 million subscribers. Meta could pull my channels from Facebook and Instagram, where I have millions of followers combined. TikTok is already suppressing our views. And I cannot think of a more crucial time for them to be doing this, because they know they're up against the ropes. They know we're not going to let them get away with everybody forgetting about what they've done to the economy.
The fact that all of these platforms have such a chummy relationship with the government as well is the thing that makes this such a realistic threat. Like TikTok was purchased by Trump allies. There was that insane, rapprochement between Zuckerberg and Trump around the last election. There's the world that we live in is so precarious for critics of the government, especially media, like journalists who are doing critical reporting of the government, that I could see, with very few things tangibly changing, a real possibility of just being immediately deplatformed for slightly, especially because that's the thing with this David Pacman thing, is like, of all the people that they could do this about, David Pacman is honestly such a kind of mildly left-wing,
dude,
kind of moderate-ish. Like, he's not this radical firebrand kind of reporter. He's not like Democracy Now! Or like Democracy Now! Might have a page on the White House website as well. Let's see.
He's not like an anarchist, like collective of people doing like liberatory journalism stuff. Like he's
definitely.
He's not like bad on a number of things, but like he is bad on some stuff, I think. But
there's some legitimate criticism.
We don't need to get too into it.
Yeah, I mean, when we're like basically defending David Pacman, we don't need to go over everything that we disagree with him about. But yeah,
no, it's. I think like I think about this too. Like my main following is on Instagram. I've got like 47,000 followers now. I'm like, Meta could just decide at some point that they don't like that I talk about like Palestine or something, and then just dump me. I know a bunch of people have like secondary accounts. I haven't really explored that just because like it's a lot more to manage. But I don't know. Like that's why like I think I heard a little bit of your stream before, like why I focus on being a journalist rather than like an influencer or content creator, because it's like this work is still exists outside of those pages and stuff, but it's definitely, I don't know. I imagine if Pacman ends up back on like public radio, like it's just a return to form. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, if I mean,
But
I don't even know how you like. I don't even know how public radio is still viable in 2026. But yeah, I'm just
I
realizing
don't
that the
even know if he
only
was public or not.
when I first saw this part of the page that said reporter David Pacman, Ed Krasenstein, I thought they were saying that both of those people are working on the David Pacman YouTube channel. But no, like those are the only two reporters that they have listed as these like leftist dangerous influencers. I'm looking at the website right now. There's basically nothing there. One of the pages is leftist influencers, and like calling David Pacman a leftist is already taking a pretty broad view of what you consider leftist. There's another one called
Well,
Left Wing
yeah,
Lunacy, and it has a bunch of MSNBC hosts.
nice.
Ah, this is wild. Yeah, I'm guessing that they're going to add a bunch more people to this website. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a work
crazy
in
stuff.
progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
Ah, completely
yeah.
wild.
I feel like so far I've stayed like somewhat under the radar in terms of like stuff, but I'm sort of like maybe it's just I have a strange niche or something, or I'm pretty localized in a lot of the stuff that I do. So it's
Yeah,
not like
the benefits
yeah,
of having a small channel, I guess.
yeah. There's a lot of drawbacks.
Mostly drawbacks, yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
think the rest of it is Pac-Man asking for support. So definitely go support David Pacman. I think this is like, even if you're not a huge fan of his content, I think this is absolutely a wild
Yeah,
precedent to set. So I would invite you to
absolutely.
go support his channel and do what you can to kind of show some love. Oh wait, I pasted the wrong link. This is what I wanted to paste in there. Is it working? Apparently, I need to make a new page. Click to add. Oh, wait. Okay.
For
No, this is
Jamming
you.
GPS.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to watch before you
of a
joined.
data center, right yard of a small farm in
Can
Hillsboro,
I?
or
It's playing on my end. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was auto playing, and I just wanted to start it from the beginning.
Gotcha.
Any messages that I lost? Both journalism and the entertainment industry are both at risk. I'm not a fan of fiction being under. Yeah, no, definitely not a fan of fiction being under threat either. When CBS, Paramount, and
Mm-mm.
EA are being bought out by the far right with ties to the admin, that like Netflix. Wait, who was buying? Who's buying HBO after all? Netflix almost
Warner
bought
Bros.
it.
Discovery is being bought by Paramount,
Yeah, like that
which
whole
is
stuff
owned
is
by
so
the.
fucking wild. Is like we're
Is
gonna
that owned by
have
the same? It's the same people as the TikTok buyout, I think.
yeah, it's the Ellisons as well, and they're
Yeah,
gonna own everything.
yeah.
Basically, they're gonna own half of the media, and the other half is being owned by like three other people who are all variously close to the administration. There's gonna like the this is one of the things that, again, for all the criticisms you can have for the New York Times, uh, you know, they're not the Washington Post. They're not owned by Jeff Bezos.
No, no.
They're still like relatively independent, and what that means is that they don't always follow the politics that I would like them to follow, but they definitely don't seem to have. They're definitely not caving to the Trump administration at the very least. They have other blind spots. They have other
They're
issues, but I do respect a lot of their reporting, despite their shortcomings
in the
in other directions.
in the grand scheme of things. I think the New York Times is annoying. I think that they do a lot of things that I'm like, this sucks, and you're promoting stuff that I think is bad. But that being said, like you said, a lot of their reporting is. I mean, they just it doesn't make up for their many failings on it, but they just did a really good piece on Palestine and like torture in
Oh yeah,
prisons
yeah.
there, and like that was
The only
yeah.
thing that was really annoying with that piece is that they put it in the opinion section.
What? I didn't know. Oh my god, dude.
Or maybe
Oh,
maybe
okay.
the
I
article
take back
that I
everything I
read was
said.
an opinion piece that was reacting to the reporting that they did. Like I don't want to, maybe I'm wrong on this and I just miss, like, maybe the one thing that I saw was different from the actual reporting that they did. But what I saw was in the opinion
God, I
section, and I
hope.
was slightly annoyed by that. But yeah. And they're being sued by
Yeah.
Israel for that, by the Israeli
Did
government
you?
allegedly. I don't know if they
Yeah, that
actually
shit's funny as hell.
initiated the lawsuit yet, but it would be very funny. I reported, I mean, I mentioned in a video a few months ago that there was a famous lawsuit in the 90s about the Bosnia genocide, where I don't remember exactly how it works because, like, governments can't really sue individuals for libel, but there was some, like,
Yeah.
defamation lawsuit involving a group of journalists who were the first to kind of officially call detention camps concentration camps in Serbia,
Gotcha.
or on the border between Bosnia and Serbia, and that was like super
Yeah.
controversial. There was a BBC really prominent journalist at the time who said that was like irresponsible journalism, and how dare they use such a tainted loaded term to describe something that is quite normal. And then there was a whole lawsuit and a court case, and they won. It's like, hey, this is the definition of a concentration camp. This is all the
Yeah.
evidence of every single point is met. This is a concentration camp. And yeah, in the end, they were vindicated. But that journalist kind of had to apologize afterwards and say, like, hey, yeah, I was wrong to condemn this.
The American media, this is something I talk about a lot, is the American media has a really hard time when it comes to like reading uh like just generally international law and like definitions of these things. I get really frustrated by like just the general, and it's not just the American media, but like kind of, I guess I there's all these big broad terms like mass media or corporate media. I've been saying corporate media more recently, but I get, it's like, yeah, they go and do these whole articles talking to uh different experts about like, oh, is bombing boats in the Caribbean a war crime or something? It's like, well, you can go read the definition of what a war crime is, and then look at what they're doing and be like, they've said they're in a non-international armed conflict, so they're in an armed conflict and they're bombing boats that, even if they are drug smugglers, they're still civilians. It's just like, I don't feel like we should have to dance around these things as much as we do. Like, I can understand hedging a little bit, but like it just gets tiring, and it also just sanitizes a lot of the really terrible things that our government's doing. And yeah, but
Yeah, there was. I interviewed an international law expert on the Venezuela Caribbean boats, and we had to have a whole conversation on figuring out the language around this, because she was
yeah,
she didn't want to call it a war crime, not because she's like, oh, this is not a crime, but it's like, no, it's worse than a war crime. It's an extrajudicial killing. And I think like the reaction
yeah,
that I had is like, to a layperson, extrajudicial killing sounds bad, but it doesn't sound as
yeah,
loaded as war crime. War crime sounds worse, and it was like, no,
yeah,
if you're just killing people randomly when there isn't a war, that is actually worse than killing people in a war in ways that are not fully following the laws of war. Saying this is an extrajudicial killing should paint an even more severe image of it being a war crime. So that's one argument of like not calling it a war crime, but it's a very technical one that most people like, they just don't react to the term
yeah,
war crime in that way. They're not like, oh, technically not, it's even, they're like, oh, war crime is like a something that carries weight to it in terms of pointing out the severity of it.
yeah. It's tough. I mean, it gets, the semantic side of it can be like really difficult to get around, especially, yeah. Anyways, but should we watch the data center stuff? I don't
Yep,
want to
let's get into
drag too
data
much
centers.
on
Wait,
that.
there's a comment here, but it's not finished, so
Oh
I
yeah,
don't really know what to say to it. I genuinely don't trust anyone who makes hating Russia. Wait. Oh wait, no, I just didn't see all the comment on screen. Okay, I generally don't trust anyone who makes hating Russia a huge part of their personality anymore. it's almost always predictive of anti-migrant attitudes, like the claims of migrants being sent by Russia. So the migrants being sent by Russia is a very European thing. Like you don't get a lot of you get in the U.S. you get stuff about migrants being sent by Venezuela and Mexico and whatever else. You don't get the Russia thing. The Russia thing is a real thing though. So you look at what's happening at the border between Belarus and Poland, at the border between Russia and Finland. There's a very real thing, and it's like inarguably. What Russia does is that it is actually advertising in the Middle East and telling people, "Hey, we can get you into Europe. All you have to do is go through Russia, and we will figure out a way to get you there." And then they actually, organize flows of migrants into the EU because they know that this is a huge political sticking points that is destabilizing European politics, and it's working, and so European Union has had to, like Finland and Poland, have had to take way stronger stances at their borders than what they should be doing under international law. To they should have a process for asylum and refugees and stuff, and instead they had to take much harder stances at their borders with Russia and with Belarus, because Russia and Belarus are actively using this as a loophole to fuck with European politics. That's a real thing. And it's kind of clever. And it's not just Russia doing it. Turkey explicitly used this, and they said, hey, if you don't do this and this and this, we are just going to open our borders and push more migrants towards the EU, which we know that you don't want, and we are trying to kind of help you control the flow of migration. But if you don't do this and that, we are actually going to completely open our borders and let them in and let you deal with them. So this is a real kind of geopolitical game that they're playing, using migrants as a means of, as kind of like a, as a pawn to fuck with their neighbors and kind of gain leverage. So it's not a fake accusation. It's a real thing. It's just complicated and it's kind of fucked up. And it's like not the fault of the people who are like, it's not the fault of the migrants themselves, but it is actually a real thing that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. God damn, dude.
Yeah, everything is so fucked right now. Like all of
you
these
learn
things.
Something worse every day.
Yeah, no, I've been for reasons that you'll understand. I've been very deep into like migration and refugee policy in Europe, so I'm quite on top of it at the moment.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, Kenchi's replied to that saying it's a fact that Belarus is mistreating and using migrants as weapons. Yeah, that and Russia with at the border with Finland as well. No, it's super fucked up for sure. Anyway, data centers, go.
This is the hum of a data center right in the backyard of a small farm in Hillsboro, Oregon. If you zoom out, they're surrounded.
Got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Data centers got to go, hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Do you have? Is there a horizontal version of this, or was this all done in vertical format?
No, it's all done in vertical because I had a fellowship for vertical videos. So
okay, that's.
I should make a horizontal one, but we'll see if I get to it.
If it were me, I would have shot this wide enough so that you could crop the vertical, like the.
Oh no! It is shot wide.
Okay, gotcha. Because what you can do is this with your new camera or your old camera?
It's my new camera, yeah.
Cool. What you can do, I don't know how to do this on a Panasonic, but I'm sure you can do it, is you can have the grid, like a 3x3, 3x3 grid in there to help with composition. And if you're shooting something that is going to be both in vertical and horizontal formats, basically you treat anything that's in between the two vertical lines as your vertical.
You can also
frame.
put frame markers too.
Yeah, you can do.
I've got I didn't shoot an open gate just to save space.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, everything is shot in like 4K, and then I just cropped in, or like, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's too bad because this is this kind of reporting I think deserves a bigger canvas, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
we'll
weird
see if
for
I
me.
get
Like
there.
I used to, do you know that video of there was a puppet video about vertical people shooting videos on vertically on their phones. Did you ever see that?
No, I don't know if I know that.
Okay, let's finish this, and before part 2 I'll show you that puppet video because it was
Okay.
before vertical, like it was before social media's platforms pushed vertical format as a normal thing, and everything that they mentioned in that video became true, which is really funny.
Centers got to go.
There is a lot of data centers around us. There's 5 QTS buildings, 2 Flexential, a stack. I can't remember the companies down that road, but it just keeps going in all 4 directions.
I just read a story about a community going through what we're going through, where guess what happened to them? The electric company said, you need to find some other way to get electricity because now we're just giving it to the data centers.
For at least the past few months, this community of
Hey,
farmers,
it's you.
workers, and more have been fighting to stop the data center expansion onto some of the most fertile land on the planet. Even with many successes, corporations have continued to claw their way in, seeking complete property tax exemptions, some extending into the 2050s.
Yeah, I raised this issue of the enterprise zone agreements with one counselor online, and I asked that he join with 3 others in calling for an emergency meeting about maybe revoking them, maybe invoking some sort of home rule. And he told me, you're not my constituent. You don't live in the city. Why should I answer to you?
And we, to date, from May 5th
That's wild.
to now, have not met as a governing body. That is unacceptable when unprecedented amounts of multi-million dollars are at stake, that we are giving away public funds.
The city said
What is the situation in Oregon with, because I know that Trump has signed executive orders about like preventing regulation of AI, but apparently that is also being progressively done at the state level as well. I think California also has something against regulating AI development or AI infrastructure. Do you know what the situation is in Oregon regarding that?
I don't think there's any restrictions on like regulating against AI. Also, sorry, I forgot to post on Instagram that we're live. I was going to do that really quick. But I don't believe there's any regulations against it, but there's some complicated stuff with these tax exemptions that are like basically the city is claiming that they don't have to, or like that they have to sign off on these things. And it's, yeah, but currently, I mean, they've tried to push nationally for saying like anti-AI anti-data center regulation, trying to make it illegal. Oregon, though, I think is relatively open within whatever the current bounds of the law are possible. But yeah, there's something I was thinking about with this. Hopefully, these aren't like too repetitive. It was tough because this is the first time I've done like a multi-part series like this. So there was a lot of like kind of diving into detail on some of the other videos and then being less detailed than others. But an interesting note on this one, like that quote from Jacob Roloff, the farmer, talking about how his representative is like, why should I listen to you? The farm that we're actually at in that piece, they're basically in what's considered like unincorporated area in Hillsborough, and they don't actually get to vote on any of the people representing them in this kind of data center fight. So they're surrounded by all these data centers that are incorporated into the city, but then they are this little plot in the middle that does not actually get representation. And it's like insane.
The actual people are getting less representation than the corporations. That's wild.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Here, let me take a really funny picture. Just to see if people want to watch.
Oh yeah, I should have posted on Instagram as well. Let me do that. Take
I appreciate everybody's patience on this.
stream link. Huh. Why am I not seeing the stream link?
Dude, okay, wait. Samuel Dempsey, one of the people that we're working with at Barely Info, has the perfect post to describe exactly what I just said like 10 minutes ago
Okay,
about the war crime stuff. He says if the sky is he said, message to journalist, if the sky is blue but nobody you have interviewed says the sky is blue, or worse, one of them says the sky is red, you can still report the sky is blue because the sky is blue. You can declare known knowns.
Yeah, yeah, this is extremely true, and I get really frustrated with journalists who don't get this. Wholly vague post is one of the comments. Like, that's it's not a vague post, it's just a general thing.
Yeah, no, that's like literally the best way I've heard somebody describe that.
Yeah, no, I there's a saying that I mentioned in one of my earlier videos about the job of a journalist is when you interview two people and one person says it's raining and the other person says it's not to quote both of them, it's to look out the fucking window and figuring out if it's raining or not.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
This is this happened to me. I just did this like mini investigation into a professor at a local university who I need to make a video to promote this more, but he's just said some like really vile, racist, anti-Palestinian things, and the university has gone after like Arab professors for other incidents, but seemingly not done much with this guy. And it's like, it's obviously like, I can dive into all the details on it, but it's like, you know, you're saying that Palestine is not a real thing. I think that's I don't have to like get a quote from somebody to say that that's anti-Palestinian. It's like I'm looking at reality. That's like, sure, there are people that think Palestine doesn't exist, but in my mind, those are like kind of crazed conspiracy theorists that aren't recognizing reality.
Yeah.
Then again, though, you have AP Style who says basically tells you shouldn't use the word Palestine unless you're talking about like, because there's a whole mess.
That report that I sent you, or that you even quoted in one of your posts about what was it, the language policing at the New York Times, and part of it was do not use the term refugee camp. And I had pointed out, like, after that came out a few months later, they published an article where the headline was like, area where displaced Palestinians were camping gets bombed by Israel. It's like, holy shit. You have to use like 7 words because you can't use the term refugee camp. Just completely crazy.
Why should anyone take you seriously if that's what you're doing? Like, exactly. It's yeah, it pisses me off so much. All right, let's finish this first one.
Yep.
The city says they have to sign off on these unprecedented tax agreements, but their legal validity remains in question. And this existential turmoil has come right at election time.
And they are shocked that right now we are demanding that they listen to us. So we need to make sure that we continue to push really hard to elect leaders that will serve the people and not their corporate interests, not their billionaire donors, not the Epstein class. We need leaders to be taking care of the working class and not the upper class. So y'all, this is a really important election. Vote like your lives depend on it.
I love that Epstein class has actually become a term that is used in like mainstream political coverage. Let me see if
Yeah.
I mess up the. Yeah, I put the same video multiple times accidentally. So yeah, wait, let me find that
Okay.
vertical video thing that I wanted to show you, and then we can get to parts 2 to 5.
Yeah. The this, I mean, I can provide a little bit of context on this first one too. Like, this was a rally that was happening in Hillsborough, and I think the next video is all about the tax breaks that they're getting and just how insane they are. And the thing that's like kind of this again will be in the next video, but there's Oregon. I've heard people say that Oregon is actually like in terms of tax incentives, like the most friendly place on the entire planet in terms of data center construction. Like,
Wow.
there's a woman I've talked to with Tax Fairness Oregon, which is like a local advocacy group. She's like the only place that's comparable is Hong Kong, and like the it's I'm not like extremely well researched in all this, but it's definitely in the US, based on everything that I've seen, it is the most friendly in terms of tax incentives. So
So
yeah.
I wanted to see more of your reporting before I bring this up, but I might as well just like put a flag in it right now, and we can explore it a little bit deeper later. But I have this kind of, I don't know if I would call it like it's kind of conspiracy adjacent. So you have like the Trump admin signing things saying you can't regulate AI. You have various states doing the same thing. You have even like this is kind of a bipartisan thing. The right is more vocal about being pro AI, but the left is not really doing much against it either. Even in the EU, you have. I was reading an article a couple of days ago about the Irish Prime Minister. They call it the Taoiseach, is the term for Prime Minister in Ireland. And he was saying that this anti-AI rhetoric is potentially like a dangerous ideology or something like that. I think part of what is happening is kind of what seems to be happening on the surface, which is AI is, first of all, this huge investment bubble, but it's also being presented as this potentially, like game-changing technology for productivity. It's kind of like, we transitioning from horses to cars, basically. They're trying to sell it to us as this new industrial revolution. Whether that's true or not,
Yeah.
I do think that is at least part of what's happening. But I think the other part is way more, explains a lot more in terms of how governments are behaving with regard to AI, and how they're kind of trying to dismiss and silence the people who are acting against it. Is that I think this is a literal technological arms race, not arms race in the metaphorical sense, like an actual military arms race. You look at rhetoric by Palantir, which they've said this many times, but it was mentioned in their 22 points techno-fascism manifesto, of saying, if we don't build the most powerful AI in the world, China will, and they will dominate everyone. So we have to build the most dominant AI that we possibly can. And I think that is what not just Western government, what every government is doing right now. It's also why China is trying to beat the US at building AI faster and better.
Yeah.
It's kind of the equivalent of them building nuclear missile silos everywhere in a Cold War kind of way.
Yeah.
But they can't sell it to us because there would be a huge panic if they did that. So instead, they're kind of doing this, it's going to be so much better. You're going to be able to like read so many emails and reply so much faster, and you're going to be able to work so much better at work. But the reality is, no, this is like a military preparation. And that's why they're being like classifying anti-AI people as these like dangerous domestic terrorists, because it's the equivalent of people who are like, sabotaging military infrastructure and like undermining national security.
I think it's a multi-pronged thing. I think that's definitely a huge piece of it. I think the other side is that like these AI companies, there's probably kind of a mix of they each have each other kind of by the balls. Like the AI companies are they're looking at spending such an insane amount of money that they are like, we need to keep the cash flow going and we need the banks to like be really chill with us. Otherwise, if they start coming and asking for their money back, we're like screwed. Um, but then on the other side, the US government and governments around the world are like, if this bubble pops, the whole world's gonna like fucking spiral for at least a
Yeah.
number of years. And
And I
that's
don't see
like,
how it doesn't pop. That's the scary thing is like it's gonna
no,
pop.
it,
It's gonna pop
yeah,
no matter what.
if you want a real healthy, unhealthy dose of doomerism, go read Cory Doctorow's piece on, it's like just look up like Cory Doctorow AI bubble economy or something. And
How do you spell that?
it's
Corey Doctor. Okay. Uh,
Cory.
yeah, I
Yeah.
found him. Yeah.
He's the guy who coined the term shitification,
Oh,
at least
interesting. Okay.
that I know of. If you want better, like a cool thing, Current Affairs has a really good podcast episode with him. Um, love Current Affairs.
Is it the Medium article?
He
The AI bubble isn't like the internet bubble. Is that the one that you're referring to?
No, let me Cory Doctorow.
There's also a Guardian article from 4 months ago. AI companies will fail. We can salvage something from the wreckage.
Um, it's called the real economic bubble. The real economic AI collapse is nigh on pluralistic.net. I can try to drop you a link.
No, I typed it in. I think I can find it. Yeah, got it. Oh, it was actually in my Google results. I just didn't see it.
It's I mean, I think there's things where he's kind of like exaggerating slightly. Like he's talking about like the way, there's obviously this issue of, I don't know how many people actually know this, but like a lot of these AI companies have collateralized their loans for data centers on the NVIDIA GPUs that they're buying. But these GPUs are not like real hard infrastructure that you can sell back. You're talking about something that has maximum of lifespan of like 5 years, and it's not really transferable to like consumer use, just because of the way they're constructed. And but you're talking about, generally speaking, probably a lifespan of 1 to 3 years. And then in some, what he quotes is that, I can't remember if he exaggerates this or not, but there are instances where these, in like test runs at these AI data centers, these GPUs are burning out in like 55 days. And it's like, that is not collateral. That is just like, that's like you're lighting money on fire.
It's already
And
insanely expensive to run these data centers, but if it's at that level, that's just not even sustainable. Yeah.
and it's like, okay, so you've collateralized. So it's like, I don't know if it's just the financial institutions have absolutely no idea. I think it's probably more of a moral hazard, where they basically are like, oh, okay, let's just collateralize on these things, give the green light on these loans, and we know the government will bail us out when it all comes crashing down. That's
kind of, yeah. There's a
that's
question
what's
from,
gonna happen. Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this. Yul Rinkinho. Can you explain your prediction of it's going to pop? Because my gut says the same thing, but I don't have the tools knowledge to explain it. From my perspective, what it is we already know that they're really, really, really struggling to find an economic model where this makes sense. The amount of money that they're lighting on fire to make AI run is like, AI is a really cool technology that has a lot of potential for doing cool stuff with it. But first of all, to build it, they had to steal everyone's intellectual property, and there's so many court cases of all of these IP holders going, hey, we need compensation. And every single one of these court cases, the AI CEOs were like, if we had to pay everyone whose data we stole, like none of this would be viable. So you have to give us a pass because otherwise these technologies wouldn't be able to exist. You have literally, and this is something that was said by Sam Altman, is the business model that Sam Altman is presenting to their investors, that OpenAI is presenting to their investors, is we don't know how to make this profitable. But what we promise you is that once we have an AGI, an artificial general intelligence, we will ask it how to make it profitable, and it will figure it out for us. It's just like the wildest, most ridiculous kind of business plan. He said that. He actually said that multiple times in various interviews. It's such an insane thing to say. Yeah.
We're so good.
And you have this,
yes.
This huge pushback by the general population. No one is asking for this apart from the people who directly stand to profit from the AI not popping as a bubble. And that means that eventually it's just going to pop because no one else wants this. That's the thing that makes me think it. Like, I don't know when it's going to pop because there's so much power and influence going towards pushing these things to us. But it has there's no world in which the situation continues in the direction that it's going right now, and this remains a viable investment in the long term.
I think like that's like basically my theory as well, and then I think just like some extra details on it. There's just like so many. It's like there's this big bubble, and then there's just all of these needles from all these different directions that are coming in. Like there's like the dead internet theory or something where you have like these AI is writing things and then it's training itself off of AI, its own stuff. And it's like, so it's rapidly getting worse. And then I think the whole AGI thing, like, I don't know enough about this to really talk about it too much, but I think the concept of AGI, like, they're sort of gambling on this idea that like we will have artificial general intelligence and that will be like our Lord and Savior of all these things. But it's like, we don't even really, I don't know if like we can really conceptualize of what that's going to change, if that's really possible. And like, there's a serious debate, and this is something that Dr. O talks about in this article, about like what AI can actually, like, the big premise behind this is like, in terms of what I think is like their profit pathway, is like, how many human jobs can we replace? And then like, that's just, you know, you're going to actively basically throw yourself towards a revolution if you have just massive unemployment because of this. And then on top of that, you're destroying the planet. But the basically, like, they're betting on this idea of an AGI. Most of the financial companies that are probably investing in this don't actually know what that means and don't know how that's going to work out. And then I hadn't even heard the thing about Sam Altman saying that. So we're reaching levels of profoundly stupid that I can't even imagine. What if you do develop an AGI and they're like, actually, you can't do this. This is just like, then you're like,
it's even worse than that. I think you were telling me a few weeks ago that you wanted to interview someone whose content is like finding these insane quotes by AI CEOs. One of them is, there's like multiple people who are like, you know, CEOs or executives in these AI companies who are like, oh yeah, the likelihood of building an AGI and it ending the world is like 20%. But if it doesn't happen, if we're in the 80% where that doesn't happen, it's going to be like a utopia for everyone. So it's worth rolling the dice on that chance. It's like, I'm sorry, it's 20% is not worth it. I don't care how good
this
of
is
a
the
world
Sam
you imagine.
Bankman-Fried thing.
Yeah, no, I don't care how good of a world you imagine in those 80%. It's still not worth 20% ending the world, especially if it's being done, if it's a decision that is being taken unilaterally by like a few dozen people on behalf of the 8 billion people on Earth. It's completely crazy.
For the people who don't know, the Sam Bankman-Fried thing is he has a quote, the FTX crypto scandal guy, criminal. he has this quote where he's like, if I could flip a coin and if I land heads, it like doubles the efficiency of humans versus the other one, it ends tails, it ends the entire world. I would flip that coin over and over and over again. I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like,
quite literally, yeah.
shit. Yeah.
I mean, the worst
All
thing
right,
is
should
like
we-
that
Yeah.
whole idea of like flipping a coin double versus lose everything is something that's called the martingale in gambling. It's actually a thing that you can do, like when you're doing like roulette, like having a 50-50 chance, and what you do is like every time you lose, you like put more money in to make up for the money that you lost. And in theory, if you have infinite money, you can actually gain infinite money. But it's a well-known thing. Like the martingale is something that sounds good on paper because they're always like, oh, you can always put more money to make up for the money that you lost, and therefore you're always going to end up winning. But it's something that is pushed by casinos to get people to put a bunch of money, because eventually they're going to run out and they're going to lose everything. Like they don't have infinite money. Therefore, it's always a guarantee that they end up losing everything rather than making up their losses. And that is literally Sam Bankman-Fried falling for a gambling scam of just like gambling with all of humanity. It's completely wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
Okay. Vertical
We're doing
video
a
and then
puppet
back to
thing?
AI.
What the fuck?
This video didn't have to look this way. It could have been prevented. Say no to vertical videos.
Vertical videos happen when you hold your camera the wrong way. Your video will end up looking...
So for context, this was published.
I love this already.
This video specifically is from 11 years ago, but I'm pretty sure that this upload is from 11 years ago, but I think this is older than that. So this is long before, it might have been in Vine days. I think it's even before Vine. Long before vertical video was like a respected content format on social media.
like crap.
There are more and more people addicted to making vertical videos every day. It's not crack or nothing, but it's still really bad. There are two different kinds of people who are afflicted with VVS. The first group treats the videos they shoot like pictures. They don't mean any harm. They just don't understand that while you can turn a picture, you can't really turn a video.
The other group is people who don't give a
Vertical video syndrome is dangerous. Motion pictures have always been horizontal. Televisions are horizontal. Computer screens are horizontal. People's eyes are horizontal. We aren't built to watch vertical videos.
I love vertical videos!
Nobody cares about you!
If this problem's left unchecked, YouTube will begin showing 4 videos at once, just to save.
I love that. I pointed this out when it started happening, but there was a while where TikTok was trying to push horizontal video. And what a bunch of slop TikTok channels started to do was show 2 vertical videos side by side on their horizontal videos. And sometimes those videos were like already a collage of 2 horizontal videos made into a vertical video. So it actually started to look like this, completely wild.
Just to save bandwidth.
Letterboxed vertical videos would be the size of a postage stamp.
And
Wait,
it
what
will
song is
spread
this?
everywhere. Movie screens have always been horizontal. If vertical videos become accepted, movie theaters will have to be tall
God.
and
Oh.
skinny.
And all the movie theaters would have to get torn down and rebuilt. And by the time they were rebuilt,
That actually is
Mina
kind of
Kunitz
cool.
would be old and ugly.
And birds will crash into them and die.
And we will all get stiff necks from looking up.
And no one will sit in the front row ever again.
And George Lucas will re-release Star Wars again.
This is how you can tell that this is a really old video, because it's from before Disney bought Star Wars.
Oh man.
The skinny edition.
I was never really able to tell the story that I wanted to tell. This was a great chance for me to experiment with a new technology.
You're a jerk.
I hadn't watched this video in such a long time, but it's so spot on with everything that's happened since then. It's so weird because watching it now, it kind of looks like it's spoofing what is happening on social media now. But no, this was published 15 years before any of that happened. Completely crazy.
Yeah.
Every time a mobile device is used to record video, the temptation is there. Just say no. Say no to George Lucas. Say no to old Mila Kunis. Say no to vertical videos.
And if you see someone doing it, say, "You're not shooting that right, dummy!"
Anyway, that's it.
I love
that. I hadn't watched that in so long, and it's absolutely crazy how correct they got everything.
Yeah.
Back to your vertical videos. Anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, fine.
If you wanted to build a data center, what would you look for in a location? Perhaps open land, a cooler climate, maybe cheap electricity? But what about tax breaks? That's where Oregon comes in. Despite a persistent narrative that Oregon is unfriendly to business,
not the most business-friendly state.
It's simply too expensive to
see. Cropped horizontal videos in a vertical video format become the size of a postage stamp. It was so spot on.
Yeah.
Do business in the state.
47th in business friendliness.
That is painful.
At least when it comes to data centers, experts and data center companies.
Is that real 47th in business friendliness, Oregon? Is that a real class? Is that a real ranking?
I mean, I guess it's. There's a whole set of lore to go into there around, like, this is a thing that, like, the business class and, like, business lobby says constantly about Oregon. And like, I don't doubt that Oregon isn't necessarily friendly to, like, a lot of commercial stuff, but there's kind of a lot of lobbying in that direction. And, like, we have this kind of constant, like, neoliberal push here, and there's other groups that, like, indicate that Oregon is actually doing quite well in a lot of ways. So it's some of those rankings I think are somewhat arbitrary. It's but yeah, it's not like Oregon isn't struggling in that department, but it's also like there's this interpretation that the left or, like, the liberals are anti-business or anti-small business, and, like, none of them are really actually anti-small business. They just want to tax corporations better and not give massive tax breaks to data centers. And that's a pretty serious issue right now. And it's like, our schools are struggling, and when you give them these tax breaks, you're stripping revenue from all of our public needs. But yeah.
I wonder, I'd have to find the ranking, but I wonder where, like, Mississippi or states, like some of the poorer states, rank in that, like, business friendliness, because as I feel like they're part of them being so poor is probably partly explained by the complete lack of regulation. Like, trying to attract investment, trying to attract business means you have so low taxes that you can't even pay for anything.
Yeah.
No one has any kind of good infrastructure or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can keep going on this one, but I have more to say on it.
Experts themselves say that Oregon is one of the most friendly locations in the Pacific Northwest, possibly even in the entire world. On top of not having a sales tax, which other states might waive as an incentive to construct data centers, Oregon has this thing called the Enterprise Zone program, which offers 3 to 5 year periods of 100% property tax exemptions. That means all those taxes on expensive hardware go kaput. Your schools, public safety, and other services could lose out on much needed revenue in return for data centers that harm the environment and produce very few jobs. Tax Fairness Oregon, a local advocacy group, says that we're basically giving them a 2-for-1 deal here. Not even considering the sales tax element, data center companies are receiving over $450 million in property tax breaks in Oregon in 2026 alone. Residents in Hillsboro, Oregon, which has the highest concentration of data centers in the state, are fed up. They successfully rallied against what was widely considered a data center bill in the recent legislative session this year, and they also pushed for a moratorium on these tax breaks, but the crisis persists. Right before the moratorium deadline, a bunch of corporations applied for unprecedented tax break extensions, in some cases pushing decades into the future. And let's just say the response from the city has not gone over well with residents.
May 18th, the city posted this: executive session that is not open to the public related to data centers and House Bill 4084. Great. But a closed door meeting isn't transparency, folks. Your Q&A says these are 3 to 5 year tax breaks. The fine print says companies can reapply. That's how 5 years become 2051.
The closed door meeting that she mentioned, was that the one that you were prevented from attending?
Yeah.
So you ended up not being able to attend at all, right?
No, yeah. I requested, I believe, more than a day in advance to be given access to. So basically the way executive sessions work is they'll do an executive session because there's like legal issues around like confidentiality, things they would have to redact in public records. So they can't do like a public meeting on it. So they do an executive session where it's just the council and like the mayor. But they allow media in, and then they like basically most of it is like you're not able to disclose publicly, or like they might allow some things to be disclosed, but it's like a lot of it's off the record. They considered me, this is a fun little story. So I emailed them. I'm like, I'm an independent journalist. I have bylines in these big outlets and magazines. I would like to be given access to this. But then they were like, you're an independent, they're like, your status as an independent journalist means that we wouldn't allow you in. And then they quoted the state attorney general's manual on public meetings to me. And we're like, this means that you're not like, we wouldn't include you in the definition of, because you're not like officially associated with an outlet. And so I appealed that. I sent them a message. I was like, can I appeal this? Like, I actually am on a contract right now to do videos on this specific topic. So it would be helpful if I could get access to this. And I'm also credentialed by the National Press Photographers Association and the National Writers Union. And they still denied me. And then I wasn't actually like too mad about it. I was like, okay, this system is failing and not understanding what independent media is. But then I like went back and looked what I went and looked at the section that they quoted to me in the Attorney General's manual, and they had basically quoted like a section here and then a section here. So like the top and the bottom, and then there's this big section right in the middle that basically explicitly outlines exactly why I should have been allowed into this meeting. And they said a bunch of bullshit around like, we'd have to let any blogger in. I'm like, well, I'm not a blogger. I'm a journalist. And if you don't like the stuff that I'm publishing, that doesn't mean it's opinion. That just means that you don't like them holding you accountable. And so, yeah, I have started the process for doing an appeal or like doing a official complaint with the Oregon Government Ethics Commission around that. But that is a Kafkaesque process.
I mean, it's kind of, what was I going to say? The whole thing of Trump allies buying every large media organization is going to lead to a future where all of these behind closed doors meetings where they only allow journalists associated with large media organizations are going to end up looking like Trump. What are they? The cabinet meetings where like everyone starts the question with like, "Oh, Mr. Trump, you are so wonderful," and it's amazing how you've been able to like the White House press briefings where everyone is like Newsmax and Fox News and Tim Pool and all of these super Trump friendly people.
I was going to say, have you seen the Tim Pool clip? So funny,
was there
dude.
a recent one specifically? I know that Tim Pool has been like it was either him or someone from his team attending those meetings.
It's just the classic one of like Caroline Levitt being like, we're trying to expand into like alternative media in here, and so we have journalist Tim Pool, and then it's just, like she just spends like 2 minutes talking about how she likes Tim Pool, and then Tim Pool just comes in and asks this like dumb as fuck question about like the media, and he's like, how does Trump deal with being, lambasted by these corporate things? It's just it's so goddamn stupid. it's Tim Pool is like one of the funniest like loser commentators. I like just oh my god, I'll watch like Sam Cedar talking about him sometimes, and it's just like this guy is so clearly doesn't do like any research for his show, and it's wild that I don't understand why anybody watches him. But
I think there was something a few months ago where the Daily Wire's White House correspondent misspelled correspondent on her ID or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but yeah.
Part 3. Do you have like were there like how did you go through the process of like breaking this into parts in terms of the logic of each part?
I did like a 5-part outline, and then I changed some things up as I went, but I knew that I wanted to take
we recently
I know I talked about I wanted to talk about the elections. I wanted to interview Jacob, who's in the next video, to talk about, like, as somebody who grew up in the area, I knew he would have a lot of good things to say. And then I do one on the rally, but I was also like, I think I need to spend some time like actually explaining how these tax breaks work, and like what the details of the community complaint, and then what even was the fourth? Oh yeah, the fourth one was just like I ended up kind of changing it up around like being more about how these don't really create jobs, and it's kind of a facade that this is like economic development. I think, yeah, I worried a bit about like overlapping too much with them, but I think it turned out pretty well. It was funny, like some of them performed like extremely well on social media, and then the other ones just like really did not. And I don't really, I think it just kind of comes down to the content of them. But it was, yeah, I mean, I kind of just went from an outline at the beginning and then adjusted as things went, and went up and filmed whenever I needed to. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of people tell me that to solve my problem of not posting often enough, I should split our big videos into multiple parts. And the problem that I have with that is, like, for example, the Venezuela video was very much like building up to a point, and it was like, you know, we have to have this context in place for you to understand the next part, and those two will lead to the next part, and then we're arriving at an actual conclusion that rests on the foundation of you having seen the rest of it. And I'm not against having like multiple part videos, but for me to do that, the videos need to kind of be able to completely stand on their own, where it doesn't matter if like video 3 performs really, really well with no one having seen video 1, because video 3 needs to be able to stand on its own without, maybe you can watch video 1 after video 3, or, you know, you can skip video 2 and that's not too much of a problem. But if you have a multiple part video series where in order to understand video 3, you have to have seen videos 1 and 2, then that just kind of falls apart very quickly, which is why I do end up like cutting them into small parts for like vertical, like, Instagram Reels and TikTok and stuff. But I as you know, there are some projects that we're working on that are multiple part videos that are kind of built in that way, where the parts are independent. But I don't really see a way to publish like the 30-minute videos that we make as, you know, 3-part 10-minute videos without kind of the whole narrative falling apart completely.
I think it really depends on the story, and like it can be really challenging to, like, this is a pretty new thing for me, was trying to figure something out like this, and it's something I want to try to do more of, but it's definitely like a strange kind of, I don't even say skill. It's just, you kind of have to figure out a way to get people engaged with something that they might not have the full context about. And that's a pain in the ass, but
I have the same
thing. This next one's the one that people like. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I have the same thing with some of the like snippets that I post as a reel. is I need to readjust how I cut them, because clearly just like trying to do the video in chronological order doesn't really work with the algorithm, because it's like the start isn't hooky enough, it's not punchy enough to get people's attention in a way that Instagram videos or TikTok videos need to be.
Talking to Intel folks, and he certainly doesn't care about this community. It's just another stop on his road to a trillionaire. So we're on
This is a good start.
Huffman Road right now, and it's definitely, you know, as people call it, the data center alley. This was all farmland. I remember there was a farmhouse closer to the main road over there, and there was this is just a local memory everyone has. There was that farm had a barrel with a mannequin that was like tipped over, like he's in there getting an apple or something. Every day when I drove to school or was driven to school, I would see that thing, and it's really strange how all of a sudden it seems like all this stuff has popped up, but obviously it's been constructed over years. The amount of money that the county is losing, I focus on the school thing because we live very close to West Union School. The funding, the amount of kids per teacher, all that stuff is going to affect my son's education, and even with the length of these rolling applications that they're approving, it'll affect his kids if he stays in this area. You know, we can't be giving generational tax breaks to the richest corporations in the world. BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, they manage tens of trillions of dollars in the world, and it's like it's being kept and extracted from me and other county residents and the state residents and you know, all the kids that would go through these school systems. These people don't care about West Union School up the road. They don't care about the farmers that used to be here. They don't care that this farmhouse we were at is paying 30% on their mortgage and they're not in the city limits and they can't vote their mayor out. They don't care about any of that because they're getting stupid rich. It's one of those things that I don't want to believe is inevitable, and I don't believe that it's inevitable, and I think we can do something to like slow this down, certainly with a moratorium, but also like, you know, slow down the tax breaks and even end them completely.
Dude, really solid interviewee there. It's funny. So we have a comment
Jacob's really
saying,
good.
I understand why you must appeal in this way, but it's sort of a spiral to the bottom of attention span. It is very detrimental in terms of like very, very short content. Yes. But part of the job of a journalist is to find ways to make complicated, boring topics kind of entertaining. It's something that, you know, the comedian journalists like John Oliver, Jon Stewart, and others, but those are like the most famous ones. It's why they're able to be so effective at what they do is because they're entertainers before they're journalists, and they have journalists on their staff. But it's just part of like, you know, part of journalism is figuring out a way to explain why people should care about this thing that doesn't sound like it's immediately impacting people's lives. When you find an interview,
there's also an element.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's also an element of like, like I would love it if I could just rail on like tax breaks and talk about this in detail, and people would care. But it's like I also have to make a living, and like you can't make a living doing that. Like it's not. It's just the reality of the world and that we're in. And you know, if people want that other side of things, I'm happy to go for it, but it's just not what people really want these days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, someone is saying Cat is still here. Yeah, when you find an interviewee like that who's just able to carry an entire segment, I was going to ask you, like, how do you feel about the fact that the video that performed the best is the one where you don't appear at all in the video at all? Like, you didn't even show your face. You didn't have to, like, take up a segment there to say like, hey, I didn't find anyone to explain this. I didn't find anyone to explain that the sky is blue. So I have to like come on camera and say it myself. In this case, you had someone who was able to say everything without you needing to take over anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind, honestly. Like, I think there were some of the, like the fifth video, I kind of wanted to keep myself out of it, but then it kind of just seemed a little bit too challenging. And then it did terribly by comparison. So, yeah, I don't know.
But, you know, it's funny because there's that, again, it's a thing that's, you know, this is not something that's often discussed outside of like in between journalists, but like decisions that you have to make when you're doing interviews of like being careful about who you choose to interview in order to present an issue in kind of a fair way. where sometimes you're like, oh, like I'm not, like I'm being like, I want to be very kind to this person, but like I know that maybe they have like a speech impediment or something like that. Like I personally don't have a problem with them. But I know that, especially if it's going to go on social media, like the comment section is going to be brutal towards this person, or like this is not the the message is not going to hit in the way that they intended to hit. And if you want to present an issue or a movement in a fair way, you have to find the person who you feel is going to reach the audience that you want to speak to. And that's not always, you know, oftentimes that's kind of a very like ethically tricky balance to strike between like, oh, I just found someone who like, you know, can speak this. And if this were like a written interview, it would be a lot easier because it's just words on the page and their presentation isn't really, you know, even visible by the people reading the piece. But when it's video, it's a lot harder to choose the right approach for those kinds of issues.
Yeah. Jacob made my job very easy on this one with
definitely.
I mean, I'm actually planning to release that full interview as like paid content because I think it's a really good interview. There's other stuff that we don't really talk about in that I had to cut a ton of really good things. And he's also like, I mean, he grew up on like reality TV. He's from a farm in the local area that was like on a show. And I talked to him a little bit about that, not really on camera, but that probably helped his speaking. But he was a huge advocate in the elections, which is what the 5th video is about. And he probably helped get those people, some of the anti-data center people elected. But yeah.
Okay.
Should we run it on the 4th?
Yep, let's go.
What we're doing is we are giving away the patrimony of our soils and our environment so that Bitcoin bros can gin money.
There's a common misconception that data centers produce a lot of good jobs because they're in the tech field, but that's not really true.
For payroll, they employ maybe 12 people. I can't remember the numbers on.
Yeah, like the building jobs are like short-term jobs. It's like once the data center is up and running, there's basically no one working there. Am I right?
Yeah, it's like it depends, but it's usually like maybe like 25 people maximum. But it's like a lot of the time I think it's between like 8 to 18 people or something like that. There's like there's also like a whole thing around this as well where like the electricians union and maybe some of the carpenters union was really lobbying and pushing for these tax exemptions because it's like, and it's kind of this weird battle where it's like, yeah, that's like their job is to like try to keep work for their people, but then you're also like, you know, the employees don't necessarily want to be working on data centers, and then these jobs they're not good construction jobs. Like it's not going to keep you alive for a while. Like and some of the things that like the candidates talked about was trying to get like push for more green infrastructure and get people actually working on stuff like that instead of just this garbage. Yeah.
I think it is literally 22 people at this building here.
This falsehood is how politicians sometimes justify giving out massive tax breaks for data center construction.
This is all underpinned as economic development. Economic development is so that people can have jobs and not just temporary jobs putting up data centers.
But at least in Hillsboro, Oregon, locals have seen right through this and taken their complaints directly to the state and the city council.
What message are we sending our children when corporations are prioritized over classrooms? What message are we sending when tax rates matter more than our quality of life?
We are in a giant car heading towards a brick wall, and everyone's arguing over where they're going to sit.
But the problem still comes back to a lack of transparency. Hillsboro residents and progressive city councilors urged an emergency session recently before giving out a recent round of massive tax breaks, but the rest of council and the mayor were not bought in. Instead, they opted for a closed-door executive session, seemingly over some confidentiality issues, but the date they set also appears to have been after some of these agreements already would have gone through.
But a closed-door meeting isn't transparency, folks. Your Q&A says these are 3 to 5 year tax breaks. The fine print says companies can reapply. That's how 5 years become 2051.
Despite all the buzzwords, the community knows that these data centers don't produce many jobs, and they also have negative impacts on the surrounding environment. But what can be done about this? Well, a 10-year incumbent who was widely seen as a pro-data center candidate for legislation that she tried to pass was just booted out by a working-class candidate backed by democratic socialists. Obviously, this isn't going to remedy all of the community concerns, but it might be a step in the right direction.
You know, of all the ones that underperformed, I'm kind of surprised that one did. Like, I mean, underperformed, I think it still did okay, but like relative to the ones that really blew up, like I feel like that's actually one of the better ones in terms of like the full storytelling.
I really want someone to explain to me what all of this is for. It's like we have these data centers that you pointed out, the hum, the noise, the constant 24/7 noise from these data centers for the surrounding environments in the beginning of the video. There's like electricity costs are going way up. People are losing access to clean water. Like there's like, you know, you can find footage of people showing like the brown water that they're getting out of the tap as a result of like data centers like siphoning all of the water. It's going to have a huge impact for climate change. This is like all of these negative consequences of building these data centers, of having this AI. And the upside is we get more slop in our social media feeds, is probably the most visible aspect of AI in recent years. I struggle to find the quality of life improvement from AI that justifies all of these negative things. Like, I'll admit, like transcribing audio files has gotten a lot easier. Translations have gotten a lot easier. None of that justifies. There's just like the catastrophic consequences of all of this, all of these things that are happening, including the amount of slop and like the fact that the internet has basically become unusable as a result of AI.
Yeah. It's I mean it's another like enshittification thing, really. I think we're just kind of, you know, spiraling in a way, and it's like we said, there's all these different interest groups that are tied up in this that need it to keep going. And
yeah. And so people say, yeah, but look at things like Suno to make music. Oh, it's so great for people making music. Yeah, the result of that is like, again, we're going to, like, with the way that we've had slop AI generated video pollute our Instagram and YouTube feeds, now we're going to have slop music competing for the ears, for people's ears against, you know, real musicians who are going to lose income and lose their jobs and their livelihoods as a result of this. Like, everything down the line is all just we're maximizing for the worst outcomes in every possible category with these things. It's crazy.
I can't stand when it's used in art. I think that's like the worst thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Someone, Yul Rinquinho is saying, I like the last video because it both provides us with the situation and some solutions to fight it. So it's surprising that this is the one that underperformed. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
Well, you'll see the next one is the one that performed the worst, and it's the one that's the most positive.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the unfortunate reality in some ways.
And that says something about social media, and it's the reason why so much of social media is like literally the algorithms are built to radicalize you and to push you towards more and more polarizing things. It's like just being angry sells, and being angry gets clicks. And it's also what like it's like this self-reinforcing like feedback loop of it's true that like getting you angry gets you to engage with stuff more, and therefore Social media pushes more stuff that makes you angry, so that you engage with it more, so that it pushes more of that stuff, so that you engage. Like it's just an unending thing, and that's how you end up with everyone being radicalized towards the far right or the far left as a result of it.
Yeah.
I
Should
say the
we-
story that I
yeah.
started this campaign as a cute, sweet little teacher mad at my senator. And I think I faced great adversity with my opponent because I didn't understand that she was a very powerful senator with much money behind her.
10 years ago, you could see farmland for miles instead of data centers. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have heard the hum of industrial fans running around the clock. And 10 years ago, you might not have worried so much about politicians selling you out to big tech. Times change, but so do the politicians. In Washington County, Oregon, two candidates backed by a broad coalition of unions, the Working Families Party and the Portland Democratic Socialists of America, upset establishment Democrats for seats in the Oregon legislature. Major media outlets pulled their interviews, and others jumped the gun, suggesting that they lost on election night.
We are celebrating having knocked on 37,000 doors. So many relatively militant unions supported this campaign because they know that building worker power is how we fight fascism. It's how we make housing affordable. It's how we fight for a universal health plan and to fully fund our schools.
Who is this? Was that an elected official too, or just DSA
Yeah, I think
member?
I put it probably
Yeah,
wasn't on there for as long.
I just
but
didn't. I was listening to her rather than reading her title on screen. Yeah.
She won a House. Basically, she won the primary for a House district in Oregon. She's been around for a while. She's like of the people that like had these upsets. She's like the most kind of like hardcore Democratic Socialist candidate. Like she ran as like, I am a Democratic Socialist, and knocking 37,000 doors for a local like legislature seat is insane. Like that's just like an incredible like feat of organizing that is just absolutely unreal to like and it's crazy like how much that's what it takes to win these things is like you have to that is potentially thousands of hours of people's time to go and do that. And then canvassing sucks. It's like it's a whole at least to me. Some people like it because they're crazy, but it's a horrible experience.
It's wild. All of these political fights that people are getting in, like it's kind of like this whole thing of like the famous like Bernie Sanders. What was the $37.50 average donation thing, where it's like
I think it's like 20,
yeah, something like that. This grassroots, more like left populist politician. I don't know if populist is the right word, but like the people who are actually trying to do stuff for regular people rather than working on behalf of corporations, on behalf of like you were like just joining one of the major parties and doing these like establishment campaigns is just a constant uphill battle of, you have
Absolutely.
The integrity kind of helps in a way. And, for example, there's this whole movement of people tracking AIPAC donations, and immediately that disqualifies anyone who has taken money from AIPAC. And so this thing of like not getting money from AIPAC gives you credibility with the people that you want support from, but at the same time, you didn't get money from AIPAC, so your campaign is significantly poorer than the person that you're running against. It's the same with independent journalism. It's like you have so much more freedom in terms of what you report on, but at the same time, you're freaking broke because you're not getting funding from corporations that support your reporting. It's always like this weird double-edged sword.
That's Mirna Munoz. She was outspent, I think, 2-1 in her race. I don't know about Tammy Carpenter, but yeah, like these are races that were won purely on like grassroots community organizing. There's like basically no denying, and obviously like they won because they had popular policies and like these are huge upsets for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah, but at the same time, like the people who end up winning these races against all odds end up being like super solid. Like hopefully hopefully the forging that does to a politician is something that will create like super solid candidates in the long term. But every once in a while you get someone like what's his name? Fuck the biggest disappointment of progressives ever. What's his name? The super tall
John
dude.
Fetterman.
Yeah, Fetterman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sean Fetterman. Yeah,
Every once in a while you get a Fetterman and you're like,
God.
Yeah, the just
there's people who are worried about that with Plattner, I think, but Plattner's a whole other deal. But
I haven't.
I really kind
of. I haven't landed on a definitive position on Plattner because I just have a hard time.
Yeah.
Like the tattoo is the thing to me that I get the explanation of like, oh, I was young and I didn't know what it was, but like you kept it for I don't know how many years, and is that really like the best candidate we can find at the moment in that area? Is someone who didn't realize for like 15 years that he had a Nazi tattoo in his chest?
I think the thing is that unfortunately the answer to that question at the moment is yes.
Yeah,
that is the best we can do.
At the same time, like I'll listen to his interviews when he's not talking about his Nazi tattoo. Really solid answers. Like I get the appeal. If it weren't for the Nazi tattoo, I would totally be supporting him. But the Nazi tattoo kind of gives me that thing of like I don't want to make a Fetterman comparison specifically, but you know, if and I don't even think this is particularly likely, but if like a year or two from now, let's say he wins and he gets elected and he's in office, and then a year or two from now he turns out to be a sleeper agent of like a Nazi sleeper agent, like haha, I was able to get elected as a like these Democrats were like, we'll vote for anyone who says the right things even if they literally have a Nazi tattoo. And like there's a lot of people who are going to say like, we fucking told you so. And I'm not saying that that's my position. It's just like it's a huge hurdle to me for me to support to support him because of that. Like it's such a red flag that it's hard to wrap my to like look past it despite all of the positives.
I think I had my like kind of the thing that concerned me the most beyond the tattoo as well was him going and working for Blackwater in like 2017, 2018.
That's
but I looked
group,
into
right?
it. It's like I looked into it more though recently, and it sounds like he was working for like a subsidiary and he was doing security for somebody. So he was like driving, basically they're like driver in like Afghanistan. I forget where it was. I don't know if it was Afghanistan or not. But he wasn't like doing, at least as far as we know, wasn't actually doing like mercenary work. But even still though, like the idea of going and working in that is like, I think at that point in time after you'd fought in the wars multiple times, like there's just like a number of things that like I think in some ways we're seeing all of his skeletons in the closet because the Democrats are really like they did a ton of oppositional research on him.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're super against him. And I think the reality is probably a lot of people have a lot of stuff like this. But you know, it's not who I want. He's not like I would if I had another option that was like, oh yeah, let's get somebody who didn't have a Nazi tattoo and worked for a subsidiary of a mercenary group. Like it's like, yeah, I would totally go with somebody else. But it's like we're kind of in a triage mode in terms of our politics, and it's like like I think it, you know, I'm gonna take a chance on a potentially progressive vote in the Senate over another like neoliberal or like a yeah, I don't know. It's not like something that I would like. I don't really feel comfortable like putting a lot of my weight behind him because of these things. But it's in terms of the situation we're in. It's yeah.
Yeah, no, and for
Yeah.
sure, like the Oppo research and like, oh, all of a sudden we have all of these, like the New York Times publishing a big expose of like his messaging history and like this and that and like what his ex-girlfriends say about him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this really sounding a lot like his opponents having a lot of money to put into a negative campaign against him. But yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
All of that is true. Like it's just like one of those races that's like, I could see this going really, really bad if he turns out to not be what we hope him to be. But at the same time,
yeah,
what he says sounds really good, and I hope that he wins and he turns out to be the person that he's presenting himself to be. It's just that that's like kind of iffy, there's a lot of red flags at the same time.
And I think like there is something to be said like about like if let's say he actually would let's say he'd come out and said like, yeah, I got a Nazi tattoo and that was a terrible decision and I'm not that same person. Like, I think that's like really scary and sketchy, but I also think we do have to be open to like, yeah, no, that's what I said is I'm like, I almost wish he'd just been like, yeah, I used to be this and like, but it like, because it at least feels more transparent, but it's like, I think we have to at some point like you have to be willing to like let people rehabilitate. And I think you should be extremely cautious. And like that person should have a detailed explanation and process for how they like are like, yeah, this is, I've spent all this time like kind of reconciling and healing and, healing past harms, but like there's a lot that goes into that. And I'm like, as a person who is a white man, I'm not the best person to speak on this, but like, it is, yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said there about like, if this guy's a reformed person, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like it shows that they've grown and it's a complicated thing for sure though.
Yeah. Yerling Quinho is saying also doesn't sound like he's taking accountability for those red flags. To rehabilitate, you have to take accountability, which is basically what. Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly that. It's like I wish he had more of an apology, like not an apologetic, but like
exactly
owning up to that rather than going like I didn't know what it was, and to me it was just a skull and bones. Like might be true, but it's just such a like it. I also hate the reporting that is like when they also like putting caveats on it. It's like. Had a tattoo that resembled a symbol that many people interpret to be a Nazi symbol. It's like, no, it's a Totenkopf. It is. There's no ambiguity when you look at the tattoo and you look at the insignia on the caps of SS officers. It is the same exact symbol, like tilted in the same way, designed the same way. It's the wait. Let me even like show that on screen just so that people. See it, yeah.
I think this is like one of those things where I haven't really looked into it a lot, but there's a creator, like a black leftist called FD Signifier, who has details on Plattner, and I've listened to a bit of his stuff on it, and I feel like he, this is an area where like I said, I'm not like the most affected on this, so I try to look to other voices, and I think like there's been a little bit of a concern for me, just like the broad acceptance of Plattner and just kind of hand waving from the left in some ways. Like I said, I haven't watched like FD Signifier's stuff in detail, but like I think it would behoove us to be a bit more cautious and critical, while also you can recognize that like maybe this is the best route. I think I actually, like him or not, I actually think Hassan Piker maybe has had some decent takes on this, and been like, it is what it is, but it's like, this is, Again, I haven't dove into his stuff either on it, but like I think there's, yeah, I don't think we should be. It's this is all the complications of the left sphere and the politics around everything, and it gets really complicated. But yeah,
Yeah, the photo of the tattoo is really, really low quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the. I can't show it to you. Although I could send you the link, but you've seen it, so I don't think you.
Nah,
need
don't
it.
worry about it.
But yeah, this is the actual Nazi symbol. Here it is on a Nazi military hat. I don't know how you call these things. Like it's the same exact tilt. The bones are placed exactly the same way. Like it is, and it's used in a bunch of like neo-Nazi patches. It is a well-known, long-standing symbol that is barely less ubiquitous than like the swastika. Like obviously the swastika, everyone knows what that looks like, but the Totenkopf is, if you know a little bit about Nazi imagery, like it is one of the main ones. What's wild is one of his justifications is that he re-enlisted in the military and he had to go through vetting, and part of the vetting is like making sure that soldiers don't have hate group insignia imagery as tattoos. And apparently he passed the vetting, and I do not understand. Like the person who approved that, like you had one job. What the fuck are you doing? Your one job is to make sure that they don't have Nazi tattoos, and they're like, "Yep, you're good to go."
I would not be surprised if there were a lot of instances of that in the U.S. military of
definitely, for
of being like, I'm not really sure. Oh, you're like, your swastika refers to like the symbol from
symbol,
the like Persia and the Buddhist, like whatever. And I'm like, I think we could be okay with that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is. We're halfway through part 5. Let's finish this.
Fight for a universal health plan and to fully fund our schools.
These candidates won through grassroots organizing, speaking to the working class, and fighting back against the data center takeover of their communities.
Data centers, to me, epitomize the rot at the heart of the Democratic Party.
Because I was so focused on my race, I wasn't looking across Oregon, and I'm learning that there's lots of communities in Oregon that do not want data centers, that would like to keep Oregonian culture around nature.
In spite of all the money, the antics, and the politics, the people chose something different. A promise of fighting for an economy that works for them and not for the corporations, the billionaires, and the data centers.
And honestly, I feel like, my community saved me. Because I was ready to give up and just say, this is the way it's gonna be. We're now just gonna be the peons, and corporations will decide for us. But this community taught me better, and I am so proud, Kevin, of what we're gonna do together. I know we're gonna do it. It's why they're worried.
Yeah, really solid reporting, man. You know where they should build the data centers in a place where it's not going to bother anyone, like the noise isn't going to be a problem with like surrounding houses and stuff like that. Right on top of Mount Rainier, it's going to be really good for like cooling the data centers, because that's not going to be an issue for anyone.
I saw some like
the landmarks can just like completely being ruined by that.
I saw some like post from a like left news organization that was talking about China putting them in the ocean.
Yeah,
and it was like, and they were like, and they were presenting it as like this big positive thing, and like China's able to use the tech that the US invented, but like doesn't know how to like actually use properly. And I was like, yeah, but do you not see the potential? I'm like, I feel like we might have some potentially problematic effects by putting these heat boxes directly into the ocean. Oh God, I'm like,
I just, even from a, even if you're not trying to be anti-AI, it like, I don't understand how the bare minimum for, pro-corporate policies would be, hey, if you're going to build these data centers, you have to build the infrastructure to generate your own electricity so that the people who live nearby don't have their electricity costs skyrocketing as a result of that. I would still have a problem with data centers, even if that was the case. But that to me would be like anyone who's not in favor of something like that should immediately like lose every single election, because who the fuck would vote for them if they're not gonna, you know, just like say like, hey, this thing shouldn't ruin the lives of the people nearby. And yet these people, like, some of them are losing elections, and I hope it continues to happen. But it's insane that it's not a it's insane just how much energy is going behind this infrastructure, which is why, like I was saying earlier, one of the things that to me makes the most sense is the idea of like them viewing it behind the scenes as national security infrastructure and as military infrastructure, rather than just oh, this is good for business.
I think there's a pretty coordinated push in a lot of ways. I think I made a video recently that was about a concerningly stupid headline from Vox about like, it was like, Americans don't know how to fight AI, so they're fighting data centers instead. And then it was like the caption of the post is literally talking about why those are the same thing. Like, or that like it's, you know, maybe fighting the physical infrastructure is actually how you would fight AI. But I think like I don't even know where I'm going with that. It was just so bafflingly ridiculous of a statement that I felt like they were just trying to say something unique that was going to generate like outrage. I think, at least in this case, like this is really encouraging because that senator she tried to pass a bill in the Oregon Senate that was essentially, from my reading of the bill and from a lot of people's reading of the bill, was like just going to open up like 1,700 acres for data center development. She kept saying that, and this is in Hillsborough, it was all like fertile farmland. She kept claiming that it wouldn't allow for quote unquote standalone data centers, but the people that I've talked to have said like a standalone data center is not a thing. That's not like a real word that anybody uses. It's not defined anywhere. And like she tried to like couch this.
What is that even supposed to mean? Even taking their definition, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
She was trying to say that like a data center it can't just be a data center. It has to have some other thing going on in like the semiconductor industry. But the way that the bill was written is it's like the thing that can be built can be used to support quote unquote advanced manufacturing, which has a definition in there. But basically the problem is that data centers themselves do support advanced manufacturing in some cases. These like, they will do like, I forget what it's called. It's something like chip runs or whatever. They basically, they use these data centers to test like AI stuff that is related to manufacturing. And so you could if we're just talking about the legal language of the bill, a company could sue if they're not allowed access because they're building a massive data center. And they would probably win, at least based on what the bill said in its language directly. And so it was just like, even if she genuinely did not believe that her bill was going to do that, it was pretty much, my understanding is it was going to do that. And it was, that bill died in committee because it was so unpopular and people fought against it so hard. And then she was basically painted as this like pro data center candidate, as much as she tried to counteract that. And that's probably a huge, if not the reason that she lost this election. And yeah, and she did not take it very well either. I don't think. She has said some things that were really silly afterwards.
Was she saying the kind of stuff that Kevin O'Leary is saying, like, oh, these are like Chinese funded, activists who are not actually, like, there is no actual authentic anti-AI activism in this country?
Not quite, not that bad, but she was like, I don't think she made like an official concession call to her opponent. and then she was talking about all the unions that endorsed her opponent, and she was saying it's like Trump tactics that because she basically she voted against a couple of things that were like these unions really wanted to pass, and then she's like, it's in our state, it's my way it's become my way or the highway, it's Trump tactics. And I'm like, it's like, if you don't back the union and what they want, they're not going to support you. That's not Trump tactics. That's just you complaining that like you didn't get support for doing nothing for these people. So I thought that was pretty funny.
But what you were saying earlier about how data centers, AI in general, is like this moral hazard of eventually we all know it's going to pop, and when it does pop, it's going to be disastrous for everyone beyond. Like the economic consequences are going to go way beyond investors losing their money, and that's one of the things that's kind of scary about this. Is despite the fact that we all have been screaming about this is a bubble, this is a bubble, this is a bubble. No one has asked for this. Like the vast majority of the population is against it. It's still going to come and bite everyone in the ass, and the people who are going to be the least affected by it are probably going to be the people who, all they have to lose is the money that they put into it. But at the end of the day, they're still going to be super well-paid stockholders and CEOs and executives and all of that.
Yeah.
Like no one who's pushing AI and who's made money from AI so far is going to become homeless as a result of this bubble popping.
No.
But the people who are going to go
none
homeless
of them will go to jail.
have been, probably not the same way 2008. Bank executives no one went to jail back then. And the people who are going to go homeless are probably the people who were actively saying, we don't want this, do not do this, no one has been asking for this, and those are the people who are going to be fucked over the hardest, which is like one of the most infuriating just dynamics of capitalism in general.
There's in that Cory Doctorow article, there's a good point around you kind of, in a lot of ways, you want the bubble to pop as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because it will cause the earlier it pops, the less damage it will do. But then you have this other kind of opposing force to that, where it's like, when the bubble pops, you could spell potentially decades of disaster, depending on how the government handles it. And probably the way to handle it is to, like, at least in my opinion, don't actually do these bailouts, and or if you're going to do it, you only buy up data centers that have some actual purpose for society. And you have to basically make it into public infrastructure and build but this is we're talking about legitimate socialization of internet and a lot of really intense things that we would need a pretty radical president to actually go after something like that, by American standards anyways. And so far, I don't even know if any of the progressives who are up for potential presidential nominations in 2028 would even do that. But at least if it happens during the Trump administration, it's going to be a shit show. Which could, essentially, I suppose the benefit off of that is that it just potentially crashes and burns the Trump movement, but who knows? They're probably, I don't know that it can actually, I don't even know if you can reach huge portions of the actual MAGA people anymore, because they will just blame it on the corporations and the Democrats at the same time. And it's just cultish. I think that's a tough thing to navigate, but we'll see. It's definitely in terms of the bigger social doomerist things that I am in, I think this is one of the bigger ones where I have a hard time seeing a way out of this that isn't relatively disastrous.
Yeah. Two comments that are right on the money. One is saying, when the bubble pops in, will be good times for buying used computer hardware for my home lab hobby, which fair enough. That's one upside, I guess. another one saying the Trump movement is shockingly resilient. Like the fact that the Trump movement can still be like relatively unaffected by the fallout of the Iran war is like just because we haven't even talked about like the continuing long-term consequences that are going to come from the what's it called? The fuck, I'm blanking on the name of the waterway. Strait of Hormuz being closed, like the like that. Europe, the EU is running out of jet fuel. The US will also have like it is days away from being in really dire straits in terms of their reserves as well. I think I mentioned this during our Andor stream, but one of the things about the Trump movement that I worry a little bit about, and it's like a weird worry to have, but I worry that if the MAGA collapses too early, people are going to be able to downplay it and say, oh, all of the criticism was just mass hysteria and see, nothing happened. It was all fine in the end, which to me, like already what's happened so far, none of this is fine, but it can get so much worse. And if it doesn't get worse, people are going to be able to dismiss the criticism of Trump after the fact as, unreasonably negative. Whereas if it gets a lot worse, and then we're able to like, correct for that afterwards and go like, kind of Germany post World War II, which they didn't do enough, but at least they tried to do some measures to say to like, change things and actually hold people accountable. Like that, the accountability is one of the main ones. Is like if MAGA collapses too early, I feel like the next president, especially if it's a moderate, is going to go, oh, we're not going to look backwards, we're going to look forwards, and we're not going to prosecute any of the people who did this. They lost the election, and that's punishment enough, and just like move on and forget.
Look at what happened.
Yeah.
What did Rahm Emanuel say after Obama took office in 2008? It was something along the lines of like, we're here for, I don't remember, but it was basically like restoration, not retribution. Yeah. And it's like he basically was saying we're not going to prosecute the Bush administration for the Iraq war, and then look at what Obama did, and then look at where we are now, where it set the precedent for. I legitimately think like if we have an election in 2028, if it ends up going to somebody like Gavin Newsom, there's a serious chance that we just hit 2032 and the fascists get elected, and they just go, okay, the lesson from last time is that we didn't go hard enough. We didn't just actively militarize and suppress any sort of court against us. And like, they just go, oh yeah, we just messed up. We didn't go hard enough. And then you just go full bore.
President Tucker Carlson.
God, I mean, I think I need to work on that script.
Anyway, like you said about the AI bubble is like the number of needles that are poking at it, and I feel like that is just like the human civilization as a whole right now is having so many needles poking at it in every direction, from like climate change to the rise of the far right, to AI being a real possible threat in the future, to stuff like space debris that could like do this like chain reaction that would make it impossible to spend, like it would destroy every single satellite in orbit, and it would make it impossible to send any new satellites to orbit, which means GPS and so much of our digital infrastructure would no longer exist. Like there's so many like very real threats that we can see happening. People are pointing to them, and we're just going like, oh yeah, whatever. Like we know that this there's a name for this chain reaction thing, and with space debris. It's a well-known phenomenon that we worry could happen in the very near future, and yet we're still like, hey, let's put more SpaceX the Starlink satellites in orbit, and let's put data centers in orbit, and let's put whatever else we decide like we want to put there, knowing that at some point, and it's impossible to predict exactly what is the straw that breaks the camel's back on this, but at some point, something is going to be like the last thing before everything kind of like collides and blows up and fucks everyone over. And that's everything happening right now.
And that's why the doomer, when I talk about being a doomer, like I don't think about this stuff every day, but it's like the AI. I've made videos about the AI bubble and how I think like this is in terms of the things that are like just like could just lead to mass destruction. We're talking about basically the value proposition of AI is mass unemployment and data centers that damage the environment and accelerate climate change and water crises in the US, which is not even like the main issue, not even close to the biggest water crisis in the world. And like we are talking about a mass acceleration towards catastrophe. And I think a lot of the AI people are pretty open that they don't actually care about that. I mean, it's like the legitimately what people have been calling anti-human behavior, and like in some ways it just like I hate it. Like I don't want to be like we're just dumb, but it's like humans are just so like I don't know. It's so hard to look at this stuff and just the fact that we even have to fight to get people to understand these basic things like climate change. It's hard not to feel hopeless about this stuff, but that's why I try to hold on to things like this last video and be like, okay, it's possible. People are doing things and can win, and like you have to hold on to something because it's like otherwise, what else do you do? And yeah,
sure, yeah, no, like there was Peter Thiel did this a series of lectures about the Antichrist, where he was saying like anti-AI activists are literally the Antichrist, which is hilarious because now you have the literal Pope coming out against AI, which says something. I agreeing so much with the Pope was not on my bingo card a few years ago, and like the last two have been like surprisingly based on most issues. But yeah, no,
gotta love Leo.
Yeah. No, like both Leo and Francis have been like a surprising turn in the right direction after just like decades of the Catholic Church being like the guarantor of like maximum conservatism everywhere. But yeah, this is just like the what you described as the value proposition of AI being like mass unemployment and like exacerbated climate change, water crises, and all of that. That's not even the worst case scenario, and I don't take the worst case scenario too seriously. The like Skynet takes over the world and kills everyone kind of worst case scenario is not one that I take too seriously. Or the paperclip maximizer. I don't know if you know that thought experiment.
I've heard of it, but I don't remember.
The idea is like if you have like a super intelligent AI that's not like super intelligent in a human way, it's just like you give it a prompt and it's going to be extremely competent at following your instruction, and you tell it like build as many paperclips as you can because you're a paperclip company, and the AI starts to like reorganize the entire financial system of the world to fund a giant paperclip factory that turns the entire planet into paperclips, and everyone dies as a result of that. That is also like a version of.
It like turns out human bones make really good paper.
Yeah, no, exactly. Those kinds of things are like very. I don't know how likely they are. Like obviously the paperclip example is kind of a hyperbolic, kind of funny thought experiment, but like versions of that are kind of real threats that we need to keep in mind as being even worse than what I think is the more likely option, which is mass unemployment and faster, worse climate change and water crises, which is already bad enough. And on the upside, it's like again, but on the other hand, you're gonna be able to generate slop music and slop video. Great, good for you. Like maybe you're going to be able to say, generate a season of Game of Thrones that is better than the one that was actually made, and you're maybe going to be able to watch something generated by the AI that maybe once AI gets really good at what it does, good could turn out to make entertainment that is like satisfying instead of the actual ending of Game of Thrones. Is that worth the mass unemployment and the and everything else that came with AI?
Look, you can redo the final season of Game of Thrones. All you have to do is destroy 100 small villages. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, and then you can ask Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam Bankman-Fried endorses.
I would flip that coin. Like I would hit that switch every single time. Like, yeah, for the sake of Game of Thrones. Yeah,
that's yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just have to hope for the bubble to pop at the right time, like when at the time that is both late enough that the right people are in charge to take accountability for it and to move forward in a healthy way, but not too late that the bubble is just gonna destroy everything as it collapses on itself, which is gonna be a hard balance to strike. But humanity has gotten through threats in the past, and I think we'll figure things out eventually, but it's just that things are going to suck in the meantime. As I always say, like, things are going to suck and then they'll get better.
Yeah.
My cats want the stream to end. Let me switch to
I probably should get going too.
Different camera because they're kind of running around meowing at me right now. So I'm going to leave it at that. Meow.
Yeah.
My noise gate is probably not picking up on the cat meows. But thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if you want to try to just popping in to remind you that you deserve more views. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I'm looking at the view count of this stream that currently stands at 4 people. All of 4 people are watching right now. But we'll stream, 3 times a week this month and see if we can build up an audience by the end of the month. People kind of forgot that this channel occasionally streamed, I think. I don't know how often you want to join the streams, but you're always welcome. Just message me.
Yeah.
Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays is when I plan to do. And Sundays are probably going to be more chill video games, just like, shit posting, fun, less political. And I mean, it's still probably going to be like politically related. For example, this Sunday, the day after tomorrow, I am at the moment thinking of playing a Iran war simulator called Operation Epic Furious. Not simulator in like a real-time strategy simulator. It's just like a parody of the Trump administration during the Iran war. And that can make for some fun streaming on Sunday. So if you want to join and laugh at what the game developers made with that, feel free.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm gonna be I'm probably gonna have to figure out this and make it.
Yeah, good luck
not,
with that.
Yeah.
But hey, your Wi-Fi
this is a good time
for the entire stream, so that's good.
Yeah. Shocked.
Okay.
Thank God.
Well, have a good evening. I'll see you soon. And to chat, thank you for joining, and thank you for the support. Hopefully we can have some more fun on Sunday and move on from there for more streams.